I welcome you all to the session. Ma'am will join in certain time. You have the syllabus copy with you, right? So basically the objective of this workshop is that if you have any confusion related to the selection of the optional, and if you have already decided on the optional and PSIR you have finalized, then what to expect from us if you take admission here, how are you going to conduct the course, what are the nuances of the syllabus that you should know before starting the preparation. Okay. How many of you are targeting 26? Anybody who is targeting 27? Up. Anybody who is targeting 28? No. Fine. This batch is the first batch which will is basically targeting 26 only, right? And the duration of this course is going to be 9 months. Okay. Now, is there anybody who is having this confusion between pol science and any other option? कोई ऐसा है कि pol science के साथ he is also or she is considering, yeah, anthropology. Anybody else? Yeah. Up history. हाँ sir. Public administration. Anybody else? हाँ sir. Anthropology. Anybody else? Agriculture. चलो ठीक है. So basically whenever we select any optional, right, ये बताने की जरूरत नहीं है कि optional is very important. 500 marks. This examination, in fact the civil services examination, what is the total marks for this? कितने marks? 2025, right? So 2025 marks is the total marks, out of which 1750 comes from mains, right? This 1750 is coming from 7 paper. Rest 275 is coming from interview. Now if you see the pattern of this examination, you know that this is an exam which almost stretches 1 year. So ideally 1 year of preparation before the exam and 1 year during the exam it takes, right? So prelims stage जो है, it's a 2-hour examination. Interview almost 25 to 35 minutes it takes. These two stages are very much dependent on the luck factor. Prelims is an exam of 2 hours, but whether you are getting selected or rejected is being decided in the last 15 minutes. When you are marking those doubtful questions जो कि आपने छोड़ रखा था कि whether you should mark that or not. If you find it right, you are into the list. If not, then you are out of that. So basically, to a certain extent, it is yes, luck based. Interview to a very great extent is a luck based examination. Having seen examination for some time, we come across many students who are very extrovert, who are speaking so good, but they are landing in the zone of 160 in the interview. And there are people who we don't expect that they would be getting very good marks in the interview. They score 190, even 200 plus. So it is a luck based factor is there in the interview. Ultimately 25 minutes में 30 minutes में आपके 275 marks depend करेगा. 1750 coming from mains. Here luck matters least. You can be lucky in 1 paper, 2 paper, but not in 9 papers. क्योंकि आप यदि language paper यहाँ पे जोड़ देंगे तो these are 9 papers. So you cannot be lucky for 9 papers. Good thing is you cannot be unlucky for 9 papers. So let us say if the first paper did not work out as a paper, then you have still 6 papers to go wherein you can compensate for the loss of the first paper. So actually this examination, civil services examination, is just about mains. And when you will prepare for mains only. And for mains, 2 important paper is of optional. And therefore take your time to decide that what optional you are going to select, because after that you are going to study and dwell on the subject. In fact, इंटरव्यू में एक फैक्टर जो भी और एक और आ जाता है कि इंटरव्यू में बायसनेस भी आ सकता है. Ultimately humans are taking interview, right? There can be biasness on the basis of gender, region, language, it can be there, but in mains only your answers are going to the examiner. He is not knowing that whether you're from IIT or Delhi University or JNU or from a very normal, so-called normal college. So purely it is a test of merit and it is dependent on this optional paper. Now, having established the importance of optional, I suggest normally 4 factors on the basis of which you should select the option. The first factor is, and it is the most important factor, interest. Interest has to be the main factor for selecting the option, because in the best case you have to study the subject for 2 years. Best case. Worst case, God knows. And optional should be such that when you are bored of reading general studies and when you are sitting with the optional, that should be a kind of relaxation for you. In optional paper, even the notification says that you require higher knowledge. If you read the notification of UPSC, the mains section, it says that in general studies you require any generalized knowledge, no specialized knowledge is required, but in the optional paper you requires a knowledge higher than the graduation level, lower than the post graduation. So in the optional paper you are supposed to write as an expert of that particular subject. Added to that factor is that with you there will be at least if every year 100 people are getting selected, then at least 40% or 50% again write the exam, because maybe they are not getting the desired rank, IAS or foreign service or police service, then they will go for the improvement of it. Now you are not only competing with those who are attempting for the first time, you are also competing with those who are already selected, and therefore in the optional paper you require that expertise. So when you are selecting optional, kindly keep interest in the subject at the first place. Second is overlap with the subject, with the other subjects. Maximum the overlap, minimum would be your effort. For example, mathematics optional, very good option. In fact, we had rank 1 from mathematics optional few years back, very scoring. But the problem is it has almost zero overlap with the general studies essay paper. So when you are history optional, good optional because it is having overlap with GS1, public administration with GS2, right? Geography with GS1, sociology with society, we have the overlap. So when you have more overlap, less would be your. Third thing is there should be any help available, and when I say help, it is a soft version for coaching. Okay, so there should be a good coaching available, not because coaching institute is doing some wonders, just that if you have a good teacher available, then the teacher will get this amount of the content to this amount, and then your effort will start from here. So whatever is spread in 100 units, the teacher will get it in 10 units, will make you understand. By his experience of the examination, he knows that what is important, what is not important. Maybe if you're trying by yourself, you'll be digressing from the main focus subject. So he will just keep it here. And because why he can do that? Because he is just responsible for his subject. For example, if I am going to teach Indian government and politics and comparative politics, I am just reading that. I am updating myself on that. While you have to read science and tech, art and culture, disaster management, internal, everything. But I have to just concentrate on that. So I am more expert, having more expertise to teach you on that. And now your job is starting from here itself. So better focus content, better way of teaching will help you in that. And this is a competition, right? It's not just a qualifying examination. Fourth is selection rate. At the end of the day, you want selection, right? Interest in the subject is fine. आप history पढ़ना चाहते हैं, through sociology, political science. But interest ऐसा रहता तो फिर आप higher studies के लिए जाते. But here your end goal is selection at the end of the day. So selection should be there from the subject. Okay, and we have seen that in the past there have been phases of different optional subject, going at the high, going at the low. On the basis of these 4 parameters, you should actually select the option. Okay, now on the basis of these 4 parameters, I'll just put forward my points Why political science is a good option? Before starting, I would say, I'm not saying other options are not good. Optional like anthro, socio, political science, geography, or bad, they are good optional, right? But I would just tell to you why pol science is an ideal optional across these uh, parameters. First is interest. This is very personal to you. Go through the syllabus that you have to know that what UPSC wants you to read. Go through the PYQs to know what UPSC is asking, and try to know that whether you are interested in these topics or not. For me, of course, this is the most interesting option, because here you have to read about from Western political thought, ideology, Indian political thought, IGP section, international relations. Somehow the best thing that I find about the pol science optional syllabus is that whatever you are reading, you will find tangibly that thing is happening. When we'll read reservation topic in IGP, you will find some movement going on for reservation. When we'll read about basic structure, you'll find some case going on with respect to basic structure. When you will read about international relations, there's so much things happening in the international relation that you can actually connect. So that is my argument, and that's why I find this subject as interesting. So go through the syllabus, see the topics that you have to read. We'll analyze it today कि आपको ये interest करता है या नहीं करता. Then overlap. I can bet that pol science is the optional having the maximum overlap across options. It has overlap in general studies, paper 1, the Indian national movement part, okay, the world history part, entire Cold War you are going to study here. Some of the society question can be dealt through the knowledge of pol science. GS2, needless to say, except for the governance part, the polity part has greater overlap. IR में आपको separately पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है. So GS2 has overlap to the extent of, I would say, 70% overlap है GS2 के साथ. Then GS3 minor overlaps है, green revolution, liberalization, all that, Naxalism, we have to read, minor overlap. GS4 major overlap, because in the non-case studies part, ethics paper, GS4 is ethics paper. So in the non-case studies part, there have been many direct questions which you will read in political science. Unexamined life is not what new. Socrates का statement सीधा पूछा गया. Question have been from Gandhi, Ambedkar, John Rawls से question पूछे गए. John Rawls is a thinker that we study in justice topic in political science. Even if there's no direct question with any thinker, then when you are framing your answer in the ethics, you can refer to Gandhi, Ambedkar, you can refer to different scholars that we have to study in political science. So GS4 is a major overlap with political science. Essay paper. If you see the trend of last few years, there is a greater shift towards the philosophical type of question which is being asked in essay rather than technical. And with the knowledge of PSIR, you can expand that topic in a better manner. Again, since we are comparing, I'll again compare with some technical optionals like chemistry or mathematics or even geography. You may not have that kind of capability to expand your knowledge through the optional knowledge of that particular subject as you have in political science. And if you see the highest scorers in past few years, they have used the knowledge of their optionals very much in their essay paper. And come to the interview part. Now, आपका optional कुछ भी हो, there will be 3 questions, 3 areas which will be definitely asked. Economy, अभी interviews चल रहे हैं. Our students, around 400 of them, they are giving the interview this time. So there will be a definite question from economy, IR, and the politics. For example, if you are from Maharashtra, then something related to Maharashtra politics, constitutional implication. So these, other than of course force is the DAP, जो आप fill करते हैं. But these domain questions are there: economy, politics, and IR. IR में so much thing is going. So when you are a political science student, you can answer IR and political questions in a much more academic manner as compared to the students. So they are probable. So you'll find that overlap part, I can 100% guarantee that pol science is having maximum overlap. This compensates for one negative factor related to pol science, that is huge syllabus. That is a negative part of it. But if you take overlap factor into consideration, that compensates, क्योंकि आप जहां मेहनत वहां पे करेंगे, there will be a lot of factors, that will be a lot of topics that is going to overlap. Fourth is the selection. Somehow in the new pattern of the examination post 2013, selections have been very steady and sufficiently high in political science. So 100 plus selections every year there has been that. So it's not that it's only political science, sociology has also given selections. Okay. But political science remains one of the evergreen optional paper across. Okay. Again, somebody referred to the history optional. I think with respect to the results, history has gone on the back foot in some time, and that is the same thing with the public administration also. Not saying कि history perform नहीं करेगा. We had rank 1 from history optional 2 or 3 years back, right? But if you take the trend as such, anthro is giving result, all science, sociology, these have been top 3 performance. Geography has gone a bit down. Public administration has taken a hit. Sometime around 12 years back, PubAd and history used to be like, before that history used to be like top result, jahan se aate. So these are the factors, and that's why I say that pol science is, if you are interested, then I would say go with the pol science optional, that is karke. And with respect to institution, I believe that since you are here, that is, if I say something, it will be conflict of interest. But definitely there have been, if you that I leave, you listen to the toppers talk, and there have been people, including rank ones, who have been our students, but wo decide aap karna, right? So this is related to the how selection of the option should be. Okay. Now take out this sheet that you have, the syllabus. How many of you are from pol science background, graduation आपका? ठीक है. How many are from Delhi University? Okay, fine. Non pol science? ठीक ठाक है. Engineers? ठीक, right. Now before starting, एक चीज दिमाग से जो निकाल देनी है कि non pol science background is going to affect you in the negative manner. It is not, for two reasons. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, ग्रेजुएशन लेवल में इंडियन यूनिवर्सिटीज में आप बहुत ज़्यादा पढ़ नहीं लेते हैं कि आप यूपीएससी क्रैक कर लेंगे. ठीक है, इट इज़ अ बेसिक. I am also output of that system only, but this is true and you must have faced it. Otherwise you would not come here. Okay. Secondly, यहाँ पे notification जो है वो कहता है कि you require knowledge higher than the graduation level, lower than the post graduation. But that is a lie, false. Anything less than the postgraduate level is not going to be sufficient, right? क्योंकि graduation में हम पढ़ते ही कितना है, बहुत कम. And here I told that यहाँ पे आपके साथ एग्जाम देने वाले लोग ग्रेजुएट भी है, पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट भी है, पीएचडी वाले हैं. There are people who are teaching in other universities and they take class here, and of course there are people who are already selected. So again, you require a knowledge more than the postgraduate level. So not having political science background is not a disadvantage. If you have it, that is, the start would be very fine start, smooth start. But both have their own thing. They have their own advantages. Not having knowledge about something is also like coming with a clean slate. Tabula rasa, aapne John Locke ka शायद पढ़ा. That means you are coming and learning the subject here, and then you are expressing it into the examination. And if you see the selection rates, almost proportional selection rates. There are people from the technical background. Utkarsh Dwivedi rank 5, country highest 314. He was from engineering background, mechanical engineering background. Anmol Sheshingbedi rank 2, engineering background. So both subjects are giving selection, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay. Now in this syllabus, the part that I will take is the IGP part 1B and comparative politics. Comparative politics, rest of the part ma'am takes. Okay. Okay. So this part of the syllabus ma'am will explain. I'll explain the syllabus of Indian government and politics. Now when you will read this, typically the classes that will go on, 4 days classes of ma'am, 2 days mine. So 4:2 combination. There can be some changes in between, but typically 4 to, there will be 6 days of classes per week. Towards the end of the course, of course, since we have to finish the syllabus, we might have 7 days of classes, so be prepared for that. Now in the IGP section, this section is different from general studies paper 2 in 2 ways. Here you are going to refer to the theories. For example, even if you are going to write a question on Election Commission of India, you'll start with the theory of democracy. If you are going to write, let us say, a question on CAG, then you start with Chanakya, what Chanakya says in Arthashastra with respect to taxation. If you are going to write a question on, let us say, fundamental rights may be question, a direct question, but you will start with the theory of rights, maybe referring to last year. So here we start with the theory, and here we include analysis of different scholars. So we are going to refer multiple scholars like Granville Austin, Ivor Jennings, Yogendra Yadav, Pratap Bhanu Mehta, many people. There are many scholars, and these will be area experts. For example, when somebody is reading your answer on Supreme Court or criticism of Supreme Court, he would expect an argument from Pratap Bhanu Mehta, very known scholar who is a critique of the Supreme Court, the working of judicial unity. If somebody is reading your answer on party system, he would expect the reference of Yogendra Yadav, the first democratic observer, the second democratic observer, the reference of Rajni Kothari, the Congress system. If somebody is reading question on Chipko movement or Green Revolution, then we'll be referring to Vandana Shiva, eco-feminist. So there will be domain experts, and we are going to include their important studies in your answer. This is how you put weight into your answer. A generalist answer is not rewarded with marks. Now, one thing I would like you to pay attention to, that toppers, top 20 में आप आ जाएंगे यदि आप 52%, 53% ला in this exam, 2025 में से यदि आपको 1100 के आसपास आ जाए, तो इसका मतलब है you will be in top 20. Now, this shows one thing, that people are not writing exceptional answers. The UPSC is not expecting exceptional answers. It is just expecting above average answers. कि ये जो 9 papers है, now when you see the syllabus of UPSC, optional as well as GS, एक चीज जो दिमाग में आती है कि यार syllabus बहुत बड़ा है, huge syllabus. You have to study from art and culture, ancient history to the latest technology which has come. You have to study from science and tech, disaster management, everything almost except for math and statistics that you have to study for. Let us say maths थोड़ा सा आपको CSAT के लिए पढ़ना पड़ेगा. Otherwise, direct statistics से नहीं है, which earlier used to be, but almost everything under the sun you have to study. Now try to understand, this syllabus of UPSC replicates the expectation from you when you are into service. We are a resource deficit country. Maybe you'll be requiring 100 policemen, you'll have just 20 policemen. Then are you going to leave that? No. You have to use the same resource to write the answer, to tackle that situation. Similarly here, one thing that is going to help you is integrated approach, the overlap. For God's sake, don't read the same topic for twice or thrice in the same. The moment you start doing this, then you are actually not putting your time at right use. So syllabus always has to, the first thing starter has to be syllabus. Don't go beyond this. In optional papers, especially don't go beyond this because of 2 reasons. The syllabus itself is quite huge. Secondly, the way we teach, and for which we are infamous, that becomes much more comprehensive. I know we are infamous for taking too many classes, but that is also coming at the cost of our effort. जब आप यहाँ पे 2.5 घंटे बैठ के अपना समय देंगे, हम भी 2.5 घंटे यहाँ पे खड़े होकर आपको पढ़ाएंगे, right? It's very easy to finish the subject in, let us say, 6 months, right? What we'll teach, you will study and go, but ultimately it will influence the result in the longer run. So one thing that you will listen to the toppers across, that the question is not coming out of the notes. Why? Because already lot of focus has been made to create that comprehensive notes. Foundation batch is something that you do only once. Test series you take in each attempt. If first attempt works out well and good, नहीं तो सेकेंड अटेम्प्ट में आपको टेस्ट सीरीज बार बार लेना पड़ता है. फाउंडेशन कोर्स यू डू ओनली वंस एंड मेक श्योर दैट दिस एफर्ट इवन इफ टेक्स लेट अस से 1 month मोर शुड बी सो कॉम्प्रहेंसिव कि फिर ऐसा ना लगे कि नोट्स में कमी है, बिकॉज देन दैट विल डिस्करेज योर प्रिपरेशन इटसेल्फ. बस इतना रहे कि बस इसको अवे में पढ़ लेना है एंड देन वी हैव टू प्रैक्टिस. So if you look at this particular syllabus, 1B, okay, so Indian nationalism we have to study. Now here this part is almost similar to general studies. Direct question पूछे जाते हैं 10 marker. Those who are not aware about the pattern of the exam, in the exam you are going to get 8 questions, okay, divided into 2 sections, wherein question number 1 will have 5 questions, 10 marker each. Similarly, question number 5 will have 10 marker each, 5 questions रहेंगे. Rest of the question number 2 will have a 20 marker and 2 15 markers. And what UPSC expects is that you have to, this is compulsory, this is compulsory, this is compulsory. You have to select at least one from this and then at least 2 from, मतलब कम से कम एक एक और select करना है. यहाँ से 5वां क्वेश्चन आप किसी भी सेक्शन से select करें. ठीक. Now why many of you must be knowing this, why I am sharing this information right at the start, because this year one of our student, she wrote mains, she was not aware of this. She had written sectional test जिसमें 8 क्वेश्चन होते हैं हमारे यहाँ, and उसमें 8 कंपल्सरी होता है, and then because of the paucity of time she did not attend the full length test. On GS में सारे क्वेश्चन कंपल्सरी होते हैं. So in optional paper she wrote some 6.5 questions, and she came out of the classroom crying कि हमारे 1.5 क्वेश्चन छूट गए. बाद में आके पता चला करने ही 5 थे. ठीक है, of course the evaluator would check 5 questions only. By God's grace and to her fortunate luck, she has qualified mains, and if she qualifies the exam, it is going to be a nice story to tell, right? Again, it was surprising for me because I did not come across any candidate who would be not informed about this trivial information. So basically, now when you attempt this, normally what I suggest is that first you should do question number 1, because typically 3 hours में यदि आपको 5 क्वेश्चन करने हैं तो पर क्वेश्चन कितना टाइम मिल रहा है आपको? 35 minutes. So typically each question will take 35 minutes. I normally suggest that give 45 minutes to this question number 1, and it should be the first question that should be done in the paper. The reason is examiner is going to first check this पहला, and by this question he will analyze your standard. तो students 3 ही होते हैं, excellent, average, poor. He would analyze that what kind of answer he is, दिमाग में बन जाएगा तभी. In the current pattern of the examination, 280 plus is a very good score, 250 plus is a good score, anything fair below 200 poor. So by this question he would at least have this idea कि आप किस band में आते हैं, and that's why it is important to do the question number first. Okay, so इसमें generally इस topic से जो आपके question पूछे जाएंगे, generally it will be a 10 marker question. It will be a 10 marker question. It will be quite direct. Second topic, perspective on Indian national movement. Now this is a typical political science topic. It's not like general studies, because here we have to study about different perspectives. So we have to study from Marxist perspective, Dalit perspective, okay, radical humanist perspective, socialist perspective, and out of these the most important is the Marxist, Dalit and liberal. In fact, इसमें भी सबसे ज़्यादा important करना है तो Marxist and Dalit perspective कर सकते हैं, because questions have been very frequently asked from us. Now here, it's a, as I told, it's a typical political science wherein we'll be going into a lot of analysis, and this you can read only when ma'am has finished these topics in one. sorry, 1A. Then this question, making of the Indian Constitution, legacies of British rule. Here this topic is different social and political perspective is more important from political science point of view. Legacies of British of GS1 may be partner. That's why I told that it is having a lot of overlap with the general studies. So different perspective will read. This is the most important topic of 1B. The most important. This year 50 marks question have been asked from this topic only, 50 marks. Now when you will start the course here, in the answer writing session we'll look into one fact, that why in political science, any optional, particularly political science, going through PYQ is very important. So when you are thinking of starting the preparation, PYQs are the key. Because when you go through PYQ, you realize that questions are getting repeated. So actually you can think that which question is going to come this year. In fact, this year the question 50 marks question जिसमें आया है, एक आया है FR versus DPSP, a very famous theme in this topic. Then second question, this is a 20 marker question. Then a 10 marker question on constitutional morality, already asked by UPSC. Then a question, 10 marker question on objective resolution, the preamble, and then a 10 marker question on the legal remedies available in the Constitution. All of them asked previously. 50 marks question, very much which has been asked. And that's why I say that optional subject is also important, because here you can analyze and say that what question is going to come. So that's why it is much more scoring than, it can be more scoring than the GS paper. So here we are going to read about the Constitution and all. Principal organ of the union government and state government. The focus of the UPSC has been on the union government, and therefore we are also going to spend proportional time with the principal organ of the union government on. So most of the question you'll find is with the Supreme Court, President, Prime Minister, Parliament. Two questions in past few years have been on the Legislative Council, very factual one, and of course on Governor, that we are going to see the role of Governor. Then grassroots democracy, Panchayati Raj, municipality. Now here the focus is on the constitutional provisions. UPSC normally asks the constitutional provisions. Then the focus is on the role of women, very frequently asked, and the financial weaknesses of the Panchayati Raj and municipalities. This has been the focus of the grassroots democracy. Statutory institution and commission. Here the most important is going to be the Election Commission of India. Election Commission, CAG, Finance Commission, and NHRC. Election Commission, Finance Commission, NHRC, CAG. These are going to be most important. Rest of the commissions, they are having similar kind of nature. Finance Commission is also important from fiscal federalism point of view. So this we are going to read along with this federalism topic, because वहाँ पे overlap इसका है. Federalism, the constitutional provision, what is given in the Constitution. Changing nature of the center-state relation. So basically here the focus is going to be that how politics has evolved along with the evolution of federalism. So starting from one-party federalism led by Nehru and the hegemony of Nehru Congress system, to a time in present when we see a coalition government at the center and the regional parties dictating the agenda of the union government. So how politics has evolved and how federalism has evolved along with this. And UPSC का भी जो favorite theme है यही है, how there has been evolution in the federal structure of India, and should India be called as a quasi-federal country? A very typical question. Now when here we are going to write that whether India is a quasi-federal country or not, so somehow our answer will differ from the university answers. Here we are going to give the counter argument, and by some of the argument we can establish that Indian federal model is even better than the American federal model. Okay. Then planning and economic development, it is going to have overlap with general studies GS3 paper. Nehruvian and Gandhian perspective, okay. Role of planning commission and all, green revolution, again GS3 topic, land reforms and liberalization and economic reforms. The only difference is that here we are going to refer to theory, capitalism, socialism, ecofeminism, and we are going to refer to different scholars here, which we don't refer in general studies here. And that's why I say that if you're reading green revolution here, then don't make separate effort for GS3. Same green revolution, same steps are there, same analysis can be done. Now, again, this is very important. These two topics, party system and caste, role of caste, religion, and ethnicity. These two topics are the base of the politics section, Indian government and politics. So, role of caste, religion, and ethnicity, and the party system, how there has been evolution of different political parties. Each year, at least 30 marks question is being asked from these two topics. And especially when you have election years, and now talking about one nation, one election, these topics becomes particularly important. In fact, if you go by drawing pattern, इसमें एक टॉपिक है सोशियो इकोनॉमिक प्रोफाइल ऑफ द लेजिस्लेटर्स. इसमें आप you'll find that the last question was asked in 2019, before that it was asked in 2014, and before that it was asked in 2009, some kind of pattern. Why? Because of the election years. This time it did not repeat, but this is how you try to find a pattern, and you can at least you can be prepared with this answer. Social movements, here we have to study about three types of social movement: the human rights movement, environmentalist movement, and the women movement, right? Now when you turn this page in comparative politics section, if you see this topic here, I'm going to take these three topics. So here we have to read about political parties, pressure groups, and social movements. The only difference is that in section 1b we have to study the same topics but from India's point of view, just in the domestic politics. Here we have to study the same thing, but we have to do the comparison. Here we have to study about the theory and comparison between advanced and developing countries. So when we will do that topic, so normally the pattern that we follow, यदि हमें social movement वहाँ पे पढ़ना है, first we will do the social movement and its theory and the comparison. That means first we will finish this topic and then we will do social movements in India. Similarly, when we'll switch to the party system there, first we will study about the political party theories, comparison of advanced and the developing countries, then we will do India. And similarly, first we will study the pressure group theory and then pressure groups in India. So there will be many topics in pol science that you cannot study in compartmentalized manner, especially in paper 2 section A and paper 2 section B, क्योंकि वहां पे पूरा IR है. If you go below this, it is entire approaches to study of international relations से IR start होता है. This is just the comparative politics, okay, and this is the social movement. Now if you come to the comparative politics section, it is basically the comparison of different political system that we study. Now this, from here, direct questions UPSC has asked, just asking what is the limitation of political economic approach, political sociology approach. So more direct comparison of different political systems, state in comparative perspective. Again, this topic is having lot of overlap with topic 1A, wherein you have to study about the state. A theory of state दिख रहा है. Here also liberal, Marxist, post-colonial perspective we have to read. And similarly here, state in comparative perspective, characterization of state in capitalist, socialist, advanced and developing. So developing society is basically the post-colonial society. So again, there will be a lot of overlap between the state topic given in 1A and this particular topic. This is how we are going to follow this. Timing, as I said, it will take 9 months to finish it. 6 days per week would be the classes, 4:2. Any particular question that you have from me? No question? I'll just give you a brief overview of the courses in pol science we have. So In PSIR, we have foundation courses and answer writing modules. Foundation course, the workshop for which you are here, this is the classroom course. So either you can sit in the classroom and study, or the same lecture is relayed on tablet. You can study from there. So it will be relayed live and it will be available for 48 hours for viewing if you cannot manage to come in the classroom. Same lecture is relayed to the regional centers. So we have regional centers in Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Jammu, Bhubaneswar. So all the regional centers, the same lecture is relayed. Now those who are here in the classroom, they can raise their hand, they can ask the doubts in the class itself. Those who are doing in on the tablet mode, there will be a question and answer session which will be following this session. Right. Then there's an on-demand course. Uh, for those who want to finish the lectures in the fast track manner. So on-demand course is basically the recorded lectures of the last batch. So let us say किसी को 2025 में देना है and they want to finish the lectures. So all the lecture of the last concluded batch is put in one particular course and it is given. And then there's a separate postal correspondent course. Is basically the handwritten notes of the classroom itself. The second political science course that we have is the answer writing module. So what you have learned in the foundation course, the theory part. So actually the preparation happens in the 3 stages, right? You get that content, you revise that content and you practice that content. So what you have read here can be practiced through the answer writing modules that we have. And it is a 1-year program which also has mentoring in this. And here we are also adding the PYQ discussions of the PSIR syllabus. So last 20 years questions. So the pattern that we follow is we will pick up one particular topic and then let us say that total 20 questions have been asked from that particular topic. We'll find some 7 or 8 themes that has been repeated and those 8 questions would be discussed and teacher is going to dictate the model answer for it. You'll find that by the end of this course, the students will have some 400 questions corpus which you can refer directly to the examination. And as I told that if you go through the PYQs, one thing you will realize that after the course, solving PYQ is the most important thing that needs to be done. So this is done in the answer writing module. For 2026, it will start in February. So mid-February, we are going to start. It has total of 17 sectional tests, which happens before prelims. And after the prelims, we have 8 full-length tests along with crash course lectures. Crash course lecture is basically a set of 20 to 25 lectures focused on the dynamic part of the syllabus. So even if you're finishing the syllabus now, there will be a lot of changes happening in the IR part. So all those changes would be updated in these crash course lectures happening between prelims and mains. So this is the brief idea of the courses available. In the last, we can discuss if there's a doubt related to this.
So before I discuss syllabus, if you do you have any questions, otherwise anything you want to know? Any questions in the mind? So as you know, we are to discuss political science and international relations program. So what all should be the requirement as and approaches, how to study. So first of all, as an optional, political science is actually the best bet. Fine. Best bet in the sense because of the nature of the subject. And the nature of subject is, political science is known as master science. Fine. And it is known as master science. Why? Why it is known as master science? Political science is known as master science. But why? What is its significance? Political science is master science. Now, you must have seen the previous results, especially since 2012-13. Since the time the general studies syllabus, or there has been a major change in the pattern of the exam, and general studies have been made very elaborate since then, and there has been a consistent results, and I don't think there is any other optional where you see consistently rank 1 twice, rank 2, rank 7, rank 5, and in top 10 to 4 people in a year. What is making the difference? The difference is in the current pattern of exam. I always look at the things from a very holistic perspective. Studying optional is not that you are just doing things in silos, studying general studies. But political science will give you a very good foundation to understand general studies. The importance of political science for political science is there, like any other optional, but still, as an optional, political science has an edge for different reasons, because lot that you study in your general studies, that is also part of your subject. And when you study political science as a subject, you are going to have lot of edge in your general studies. Now, the most important stage of the exam is mains. And don't see political science just a coverage of 500 marks. Political science is actually covering 250 marks in your GS paper 2. Any student of political science has to do very limited efforts in the sense in the governance section. Otherwise, constitution and international relations. And out of all GS papers, GS2 is actually the base. Without you have a good understanding of GS2, you will not be able to do justice with your GS4 paper. That is ethics paper, and any student of political science, because the significant portion of our paper 1, part 1, part A, deals with the political philosophy. Political philosophy is what? Moral philosophy. If you see in ethics, what philosophers, what scholars are required. And it's not that even in your ethics paper, you just use scholars where a direct question from a scholar has come. No, you can utilize these ideas everywhere from case study to the other analytical questions also. One should be smart enough to understand the knowledge and how to utilize the knowledge. And the problem comes when we see things in a very compartmentalized manner. And I always tell political science students to have the strategy, and that strategy works. So, huge overlap, and the way political science students can understand this paper, no other subject is going to give you advantage, whether it is geography or any other, in terms of understanding. Now, another paper where if you are a student of political science, you will be at much ease, and that is essay paper. Okay, so taking political science, don't just see from optional as such, but how is the overlap. Along with that, it's not that in your GS paper 1 there is lot of political science, because political science international relations covers world history. International relations starts with the world history. So political science students, they don't need to do world history separately. Then, as I was listening, Satya sir told you about Indian national movement. And when, with the knowledge of political science, you will write the answer even in general studies, you are going to get much better marks. It is a competition, and just increase in 1 or 2 marks make a big difference. Even general studies should also be studied in a very conceptual manner, because until and unless we don't even study general studies and just see it as set of facts, the nature of questions in general studies are not just factual, they are very analytical, they demand value judgment, they demand your critical thinking. And political science give you language, concepts, ideas, ability to take critical decisions and conclusions. So even in this first paper, there is one very significant overlap when you will see with your syllabus is social issues. Women movement, environmental movement, social issues portion. Social issues we study in our paper 1, the Indian government and politics. Indian government and politics section goes beyond. And also you see the nature of questions are changing. They are becoming, even in general studies, very analytical, in the sense they may ask question, what is the fundamental difference between the French model of secularism and Indian model of secularism? There can be very simple question on gender justice and the question of uniform civil code. How will you take decision on the uniform civil code? Should there be a uniform civil code? Suppose this is the question. How are you going to answer? Suppose I am asking a question. How uniform civil code fits into the fits into the constitutional idea of secularism. This question can come in pol science also. It can come in general studies. Do you know what is India's constitutional idea of secularism? What is it? One word. We should be so much prepared that we should have one specific exact word to explain everything. If I ask you, give me one word that explains everything about Indian secularism. What? Soft secularism. What else? Pardon? Sarva Dharma Sambhav. How is Sarva Dharma Sambhav is secularism? Can you explain? No, Sarva Dharma Sambhav in English is respect all religion. But that is secularism. But that is so many words. Okay. So how to explain one most appropriate word? Freedom of religion. Fine. Freedom of religion, integration. There can be n number of ideas, but that specific word. Have you heard about Rajiv Bhargav? Okay. So these type of concepts that secularism requires, for example, if I say there are three, but do you understand what is secularism? And do you understand the relationship between secularism and UCC, Uniform Civil Code? So when you bring secularism, when you bring UCC, you are strengthening secularism, or when you are not imposing UCC, then you are strengthening secularism. When we are not introducing, but the how, you should have a definition. So what do you mean by secularism? First comes the definition. क्या है secularism? और क्या होना है secularism से? What is importance? In what context? If I ask you a question, all modern states are by default secular, yes or no? Yes. Why? Reason. The main thing is why. All modern states. So, will you call Saudi Arabia a modern state or not? It is not modern state, or it is. But do you have a definition of modern state? Without having a definition, how can you give judgment? तो अगर आपके concepts clear नहीं, If your concepts are not clear, you cannot reach to any judgment. फिलहाल राजीव भार्गव का नाम आपने सुना है. राजीव भार्गव ने इंडियन सेक्युलरिज्म में एक स्पेसिफिक टर्म दिया है. Our secularism is principled distance model. So until and unless, even in your general studies, writing answers in general studies for civil services and writing answers for general studies in state services is also big difference, because you understand how tough is the competition and how precise and to the point and correct and appropriate you will have to be if you want marks. A large number of people also write mains, but everybody is not selected. So to get selected, you need lot of efforts. You need to be very clear, very precise. And this is the requirement of entire exam. So as all of you know, political science is master science, but nobody knows why it is called as master science. And this, without this why answer, nothing works. And why you have not tried to find it out? It is a master science because of its interdisciplinary nature. Fine. In political science, in a way, all subjects of general studies you are studying. And I left one paper, even GS paper 3, when you do economy in general studies is not technical, micro, macro. It is political economy, inclusive growth, sustainable development. All these ideas we will also study in political philosophy, ideas of Amartya Sen. Again, internal security, the security issues. Whether it is optional or whether it is general studies, until and unless your language is not appealing, the terms that you are using, the expressions that you are using are not eye-catching, because UPSC exam is about elimination and not selection. And out of lakhs, few hundreds will be selected. Consider the reservation factor also. So finally, for very few seats, very large number of people aspiring for. So in this extremely competitive environment, and it is not an exaggeration if I say it is the toughest exam in the world, not in terms of the content, but in terms of the scale of the people who are applying for it. And in time to come, as even today's newspapers, as economic crisis will continue, then obviously more and more options people will see in the government services and especially civil services. So you need to be like, when you decide to go for civil services, the decision has to be very conscious decision and a very smartly calculated decision, that what I think, how it is going to be actually translated into the reality. And that is, no one can say that is an easy thing, because you will have to work on basics, the dynamic portion, facts, concepts, their analysis, judgment, and only when like optional and general studies, these are reinforcing things. If you have good command on general studies, that will add to subject. If you have good command in subject, this is going to increase your marks. And humko, don't just, this is what I want to say, don't just see this optional only from the perspective of optional, and understand its importance beyond. In essay, you see the trend is towards philosophical essays. But in UPSC, even if you write philosophical essays, you cannot actually write completely philosophical, because you are writing for civil services, or you have to know lot of applied aspect of these abstract statements. Essay topics like real is rational, rational is real. This word is a word of change. In political science, we will be studying all these things in a very conceptual manner, that in philosophical essays, often students are unable to even deconstruct what is being asked. So look the entire subject with the other benefits. And now, as every year, even right now, the interviews are going on, around 350 plus students have cleared, and that is why every year around 90 to 100 students will be in the list from the institute and with this particular subject. And how is the subject, what are the fundamental, like how to prepare the subject, what are the areas in the subject. The base of the subject is theory. What is the importance of a theory? पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी का क्या इंपॉर्टेंस है? जिसको थ्योरी आएगी उसको ही पॉलिटिकल साइंस है, जिसको थ्योरी आएगी उसी को इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस आ सकता है। क्यों? क्योंकि आप हर इवेंट का ट्रैक नहीं रख सकते। आप जर्नलिस्ट थोड़ी हैं कि यू नो ईच एंड एवरी इवेंट। whatever is a event, even it is a hypothetical event, you should know how to analyze it. If you read this year's interview transcripts, what type of questions are being asked? They are telling you, imagine you are Putin, imagine you are Zelensky and Trump. I am Trump. Now discuss and tell how to solve this particular problem. Means you should now be in a position, like even in international relations, your concepts have to be clear. And international relations is not current affairs. Okay, it's not that they will only ask what has happened this year in India, China, but what is the dynamics of the relations, what governs India China relations. To score well, you should have language of the subject. You should be very thorough. When to use geopolitics, when to use geoeconomics, when to use balance of power, when to use collective security. Okay. So the base of everything is in theory. And theory also has two parts. Base of other subjects, other paper is in theory. But where is the base of the theory? Theory का base किसमें है? आपने syllabus देखा है पॉल साइंस का? अगर हम कहें what is the foundation of the subject? Political thought. तो theory बाकी चीजों का base है, लेकिन इसका base क्या है? Thought. ठीक है? Why do we study thought? Thought base क्यों है? किसी भी सब्जेक्ट का बेस क्या होता है? किसी भी सब्जेक्ट को पढ़ने के लिए आपको क्या चाहिए? पहली चीज, व्हेन यू स्टडी एनी सब्जेक्ट, व्हेन यू स्टडी एनी इकोनॉमिक्स न्यूज, व्हाट विल बी द चैलेंज? लैंग्वेज. Am I understanding K curve or not? If I am understanding means terminology. So what thought does? Thought builds you the language of the subject. Okay, in subject I have to tell this is neoliberalism. How neoliberalism is different from libertarianism. If I, and same thing, this language will stretch even to IR also. What is globalization? Globalization is expansion of neoliberalism at a global scale. तो सब्जेक्ट का बेस लिबरलिज्म क्या है, टर्मिनोलॉजीज, ये सब बनती है जब हम थॉट पढ़ते हैं, और इसीलिए थॉट टेक्स द मैक्सिमम टाइम ऑल्सो, बिकॉज किसी भी बिल्डिंग में द फाउंडेशन टेक्स द लॉन्गेस्ट, जब सबसे बिगेस्ट जो आपका चंक होगा वो वहां चला जाएगा. और एक स्टूडेंट्स इस बात की गलती करते हैं, दे सी थिंग्स, दे सी एज इफ every topic is a independent topic. No, every topic is interlinked. Something here in the political theory you may require to write an answer in Indian government and politics, and don't have a very simplistic view of understanding things. Some students believe all topics to be covered in the similar time. It's not like that. If I have to teach United Nations and I have to teach ICJ only, it's not that. If suppose I have to discuss reform of UN Security Council, it may take longer time rather than discussing the reform of the General Assembly, and take the entire subject as a integrated whole. और जब आप पॉलिटिकल थ्योरी भी पढ़ रहे हैं, at that point of time also you are studying IR, you are studying international relations, you are studying comparative politics, subject to the condition you are smart enough to understand this. And writing answers to get marks again require no compartmentalized thinking, rather taking a very integrated view of the situation. Now thought is the base, इसीलिए पेपर 1 के बेस के ऊपर सब खड़ा होता है ना, इसी के लिए किसके ऊपर खड़ा कर दिया पूरा सिलेबस, बेस पे. ठीक है, इसको यहां क्यों डाला, यहां क्यों नहीं डाला? पॉलिटिकल साइंस के सिलेबस में जब वेस्टर्न पॉलिटिकल थॉट बेस है तो यहां क्यों नहीं डाला, फर्स्ट टॉपिक में क्यों नहीं डाला? फर्स्ट टॉपिक ये क्यों किया, फर्स्ट टॉपिक मतलब ऑर्गेनाइज्ड ऐसे क्यों किया है? रॉन्ग. विदाउट थॉट यू कांट अंडरस्टैंड थियरी. भाई पेपर 1 सेक्शन ए मैंने बता दिया थॉट बेस है, तो बेस को नीचे नहीं डालेंगे तो ऊपर कोई डालता है बेस को? कोई नींव को ऊपर बनाता है क्या? सिंपल आंसर कहना, बिकॉज बेस तो बेस है, बेस ही तो नीचे होता है, इसके ऊपर ही सब कुछ टिका हुआ है. तो कई लोग फ्लो ऑफ द टॉपिक्स नहीं समझते, कई लोग ऐसे मैकेनिकली पढ़ना चालू कर देते हैं लेकिन जब आप ये टॉपिक पढ़ेंगे तो आप फिर फंस जाएंगे। टॉपिक का एक फ्लो होना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, ठीक है। और वैसे भी क्यों ये ऊपर है और ये क्यों नीचे है, क्योंकि वी आर स्टैंडिंग ऑन आवर हेड्स, वी आर स्टैंडिंग, हम जमीन पे हैं, दिमाग से खड़े, सिर पे खड़े हैं। हम दुनिया में उल्टे खड़े हैं कि सीधे खड़े हैं? ये आई एम स्टैंडिंग स्ट्रेट, सीधे खड़े हैं। कि अगर हम ग्लोब को देखें, ग्लोब में तो हम ऐसे खड़े हैं ना, उल्टे खड़े हैं, लेकिन हमको लगता है कि हम ऐसे खड़े हैं, ठीक है। यानी पॉलिटिकल साइंस में सब कुछ उल्टा पुल्टा है, पॉलिटिक्स में सब कुछ उल्टा पुल्टा है। किस चीज का? एथिक्स का। और पॉलिटिक्स का रास्ता सीधे सीधे है ही नहीं, है ना। तो बिफोर यू स्टडी पॉलिटिकल साइंस यू हैव टू बी इन द मूड ऑफ पॉलिटिक्स, ओके। तो यहाँ पे जब आप आएंगे तो many of the notions which you are having will break and you will get a very new perspective of understanding everything, looking at, तो what is required, very open ended। पहली चीज तो यही है, कभी भी एक जो लीक है, लीक समझते हैं, जो एक काम करने का तरीका है ना, वही काम ना करो। क्योंकि if you do similar to what everyone does, then you cannot make a difference. And they are looking for the people who are different, who can think out of box. Fine. तो आपको भीड़ में जगह बनानी, तो भीड़ की सोच से तो आप नहीं बना सकते। तो आपकी अगर सोच अलग नहीं, तो डिस्ट्रिक्ट में कलेक्टर तो एक ही इंसान है, फाइन। तो सोच इज वेरी डिफरेंट एंड यू हैव टू नो हाउ टू डू द थिंग्स डिफरेंटली। और पॉलिटिकल साइंस आफ्टर क्लास, many students will always say that the subject has not been just about optional, it has changed our perspective towards the life. Why? Because political science is also one of the oldest disciplines. Fine. It has wisdom of ages, from ancient till postmodern. And this wisdom, you study philosophers, you study the best of the minds, most recognized minds of the world, be it Socrates, be it Immanuel Kant, or Nietzsche, or Marx, or Gramsci. And when your perspective to look at life changes, automatically your approach to handle the exam also changes, because you are a different person who is having a different perspective of looking at the things, which is required to stand out. Otherwise you will not stand out. So this class is going to be an event. There are many students in the class, in the present class also, they feel that, because one of the very common problem that is being seen most of the youth is that there is some mental issues, lot of depression, lot of frustration, because times are such. And many students have said that these philosophy lectures, they have helped them in overcoming even their psychological issues. Fine. So up till now, I was just used to tell what is the importance of the subject for other papers. But now I am also telling that It is going to be a life-changing experience. And the simple reason is because nowhere you will get an opportunity to study Sartre, to study philosophers like Simone de Beauvoir and others. And these philosophers are not just for books and exams. If you understand these philosophy, this brings a change in your life. What Socrates says, knowledge is virtue. How to make our life better? By gaining knowledge. And you will have an opportunity to study and utilize. And once you are a changed person, obviously your way of looking at exam will also change. Now, after thought, the base, the second, I'll say the first story is ideology. Ideologies means what are different perspectives available. You should be very clear who is liberal, who is socialist. And I don't just teach what is explicitly mentioned in the syllabus, because UPSC syllabus should only be seen as indicator. Okay, even they don't write 10 thinkers, they just write one thinker, still you have to study all. ठीक है, अगर सिलेबस में प्लेटो, एरिस्टोटल, हाना एरेंड, मैकियावेली ये भी नहीं होता, सिर्फ प्लेटो होता, तो भी आपको सब ऑटोमेटिकली पढ़ना था. क्यों? दे हैव इन्फ्लुएंस्ड. तो प्लेटो कौन है? फादर ऑफ पॉलिटिकल फिलॉसफी. अगर फादर को पढ़ रहे हैं तो फादर तभी है जब बच्चे, है ना? तो बच्चों को तो वैसे ही पढ़ना है, या ऐसे कहा जाता है. Entire Western political thought is nothing but footnotes to Plato and Aristotle. Fine. So even to understand Plato, you have to understand Aristotle, because Aristotle has highlighted the strength and weaknesses. To understand Aristotle more, where is Aristotle missing? You have to study Machiavelli. Machiavelli says that prince should be, it is better to be feared than to be loved. But Machiavelli is unable to give the reason, he is just giving impression. So who gives explanation of what Machiavelli says? Hobbes. And then the limitations of ideas of Hobbes is in Locke, Rousseau. इसलिए you have to study, actually you have to study everything that is being taught in graduation and post graduation. तो जो भी एक पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट स्टूडेंट तक, सब्जेक्ट टू द कंडीशन, कई लोग सिर्फ पीजी में होता है लेकिन बेस किसी सब्जेक्ट का ग्रेजुएशन से होता है. तो जो भी आपको ग्रेजुएशन से पीजी तक ये एक्सपेक्टेड हो, a student should know we have to cover all boundaries, and the questions which have been already asked, now same questions will not be asked, you need new questions. Fine. So you have to, what is the reason that there is a consistency is in the results? Because after 20 or I'll say 30 years of experience, I can visualize what is the probability, what type of questions they are going to ask. It doesn't happen that the questions are even 30% deviated from the tests which we do. And in crash course, maybe he must have told, we do so many questions that you will be able to write. So what I expect from the students, come to the class regularly and just have concentration in the class, and then don't study political science. Fine, because if you have to study again, then I fail as a teacher. I pass as a teacher when my student don't have to go and study. Fine. So understand here itself. Why? Because the subject is conceptual. If you got the concept, you will never forget. If your concept is not clear, you will never learn. And what is a concept? Concept क्या होता है? You know conceptual study करनी चाहिए. Concept क्या होता है? हाँ? Structural. Structural means what? Elements होते हैं. Base, clarity. Yes, you all are almost right. So concept is a essence. He's saying elements. Are you from science? Okay, it's fine. So essence means concept is something which remains finally. Once you will go from this workshop, and what remains is the concept. ठीक है, जब आप कोई चीज पढ़ रहे हैं, जो आपके दिमाग में रह जा रहा है बस उतना ही कॉन्सेप्ट है. And you will be able to do the answer only on the basis of concept. तो अगर कॉन्सेप्ट होगा, क्योंकि यूपीएससी के जो क्वेश्चंस होते हैं वो रटे वाले नहीं होते हैं, और रटने वाला इंसान कर भी नहीं पाता. तो कैसे होते हैं? जहां पर एप्लीकेशन ऑफ माइंड हो. तो एप्लीकेशन ऑफ माइंड का मतलब क्या? एप्लीकेशन ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट. इसलिए कॉन्सेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी पर पूरा सब्जेक्ट बेस्ड है. फाइन. नेक्स्ट, all these are overlapping topics like justice. आपने अगर पॉलिटिकल आइडियोलॉजी कर लिया तो आइडियोलॉजी पर ही थ्योरी ऑफ स्टेट बेस्ड है. हम ये ऑर्डर भी नहीं चेंज कर सकते. इफ आई टीच दिस फर्स्ट एंड दिस, यू विल नॉट अंडरस्टैंड. ओके, नाउ state and justice, are these two interlinked things? Who does justice? State. तो स्टेट को पढ़ना और थ्योरी ऑफ जस्टिस को पढ़ना एक ही चीज होती है. डिफरेंस क्या होता है? जस्टिस को हम फिलोसफिकल सेंस में समझते हैं, यानी स्टेट का एसेंस क्या है? टू डू जस्टिस. If a state is unable to do justice, then that is not a state. और जब हम स्टेट को पढ़ते हैं तो हम इंस्टीट्यूशन के फॉर्म में पढ़ते हैं, स्टेट एज अ इंस्टीट्यूशन. हर एक टॉपिक, जब आप जस्टिस पढ़ेंगे तभी आप इक्वालिटी समझ पाएंगे. जब आप जस्टिस पढ़ रहे हैं तो राइट समझ पाएंगे. राइट समझेंगे तब डेमोक्रेसी समझेंगे. तो do you think democracy is the best form of government? Which is the best form of government? What? Socialist democracy is the best. But had it been best, why everyone would have ended that? So there has been colored revolutions in the countries where socialist democracies were there, like Eastern Europe. जो बेस्ट होता तो होता. ठीक है, ये भी लॉ ऑफ नेचर है. रियल इज रैशनल है, रैशनल इज रियल. तो रैशनल का मतलब जो राइट है, जो राइट है वही रियलिटी में रहता है. तो सोशलिस्ट डेमोक्रेसी अगर अच्छी होती तो होती, लेकिन एक्सपेरिमेंट्स हो गए, कहीं सोशलिज्म नहीं बचा. जो सोशलिज्म जहां से स्टार्ट हुआ वहीं सोशलिज्म नहीं है. दैट इंक्लूड्स रशिया. हमारे यहाँ इतना सोशलिज्म था, वहां का है. वी हैव गॉन फॉर न्यू लिबरलिज्म. सोशलिस्ट डेमोक्रेसी स्मार्ट आंसर क्या है? डेमोक्रेसी करो ना, एक्स्ट्रा क्यों बताना है? जब तक कोई पूछे ना कौन सी, खुद क्यों फंसना है? अगर ये आंसर इतना ही दे देते, इज डेमोक्रेसी द बेस्ट फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट? नो, देन विच इज द बेस्ट फॉर्म? पाकिस्तान गवर्नमेंट, मिलिट्री? हाँ, कौन सी गवर्नमेंट, कौन सी दुनिया बेस्ट लगती है? इन दिस वर्ल्ड विच कंट्री यू फाइंड इज द बेस्ट? देयर इज नो बेस्ट कंट्री, but out of the existing you have to choose better. Where do you want to live in this world? Scandinavian, what a boring. No, Switzerland, just go for honeymoon, not more than that. You will be bored. Direct democracy, France. There is no country better than India. Okay, because India has all colors, all seasons, all masala. ठीक है, इतना हैपनिंग लाइफ कहीं नहीं है. ठीक है, इंडिया हैज वाइब्रेंट डेमोक्रेसी. तो इंडिया से बेटर कोई कंट्री नहीं है. इंडिया वाले बाहर जाते तो बोर हो जाते हैं. ठीक है, तो बेस्ट एनीवे, द बेस्ट फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट जो है वो डेमोक्रेसी है. बट क्वेश्चन ये है कि डेमोक्रेसी बेस्ट क्यों? वैसे आप लोग मानते ही नहीं डेमोक्रेसी बेस्ट. नहीं, तो कौन सी बेस्ट है? एंड देन व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम? इज डेमोक्रेसी बेस्ट फॉर इंडिया? हाँ, तो अगर इंडिया के लिए कुछ बेस्ट है तो फिर दुनिया में तो, बिकॉज इंडिया तो खुद ही सब चीजों का एक्सपेरिमेंट लैब है, तो कोई और बेस्ट? बेस्ट अगर हम कह रहे हैं डेमोक्रेसी बेस्ट है या डेमोक्रेसी बेस्ट नहीं है और फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट, देन यू शुड हैव अ पैरामीटर. आपके पास एक पैरामीटर होना चाहिए टू से बेस्ट और नॉट. सो व्हाट इज द पैरामीटर टू कॉल गवर्नेंस बेस्ट? आप कब, मतलब आखिर मोदी जी जान दे दे, कब बेस्ट कहोगे भाई? क्या चाहते क्या हो तुम? कब बेस्ट कब होगा इंडिया, मतलब दुनिया, या आपके लिए बेस्ट गवर्नेंस कब है? फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन तो नहीं है इंडिया में. तो क्यों नहीं है इंडिया बेस्ट? हाँ, हायर तो जा तो रहे हैं, धीरे धीरे जा रहे हैं, जा ही रहे हैं. लाइफ गोज ऑन, थिंग्स डोंट चेंज ओवरनाइट. हाँ, हाँ, व्हाट? आप यही क्वेश्चन अगर अमेरिकन पब्लिक से पूछेंगे वो भी कहेंगे दूसरे की थाली में घी ज्यादा दिखता है, और हम अपनी चीज को कभी वैल्यू नहीं देते. इन द कॉम्प्लेक्सिटीज, द कॉम्प्लेक्स कंट्री वी हैव and the challenges we have, even less is more. Fine, even continuation of India as a country is itself a miracle which the people in the West could not have imagined. And they said that this experiment will be over by 60s. Fine, तो इंडिया अपने आप में मिराकल है, और इंडिया का जो कंटिन्यूएशन है उसका रीजन ही डेमोक्रेसी है. अब अगर डेमोक्रेसी नहीं हो तो इतनी वास्ट और डाइवर्स कंट्री को आप साथ में रख ही नहीं सकते हैं. एंड नो सिस्टम इज बेस्ट, नो सिस्टम इज परफेक्ट. India's democracy is also not perfect. That is why there is a room for improvement. But the situation is not bad as it could have been. You imagine Yugoslavia. Where is Yugoslavia? It is not on the map itself. But India is surviving. You compare the civil war in Sri Lanka and the way we have solved the issues. It's not like that. So India matlab, you can't say India is actually one of the good examples of governance, because have you compared the problem? The biggest thing is population. Scandinavian countries, you said you want to live in Scandinavian countries. You want to live, don't run away from India. You will be bored there. तो पॉपुलेशन को देखिए, आप अनफ्रेंडली नेबरहुड को देखिए, और इंडिया का जो राइज है, दे अंडरस्टैंड बिकॉज वी आर ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द ओल्डेस्ट सिविलाइजेशंस. तो ओल्डेस्ट सिविलाइजेशन मीन्स विजडम ऑफ एजेस है, and hence India's rise will always be watched, it will always be seen, and it is always going to have global consequences. So don't underestimate India, and always have a very positive idea. Attitude ये नहीं रखिए कि more is less, less is more, because running India like administration, and the credit goes to civil services a lot. That's why it is called as a steel frame. And things are not so easy inside. It is very challenging. That is why they need people. See, there can be compromise in state administration. There can be compromise but government cannot afford to compromise at the level of civil services and all India services, because it is today administration is not just domestic. It's not that even if you are revenue officer, you will not have international postings. We are living in a global world, and a slightest of mistake will result into huge cost. Okay, so democracy. Now democracy theories, when we study in political science, they are basically studied as the theories of legitimacy. So why democracy is best? Because democracy represents legitimacy. And how do you get that legitimacy? By the consent of the people. Which government is best? Which is stable? Fine. Which government is best? The most important function of government is not welfare. We have wrong expectation. The most important expectation from the government is order, security of life. जैसे जब आप एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में भी जाते हैं तो लॉ से भी पहले ऑर्डर आता है, और ऑर्डर के लिए आपको कभी लॉ को इग्नोर भी करना पड़े तो कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि स्टेट की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी क्या है? प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ लाइफ, प्रिजर्वेशन ऑफ लाइफ. हु सेड दिस? Hobbes theory tells right to self-preservation. Fine. And again, there is no other form of government can solve the problems like that of democracy. And when you will study these things for UPSC, idea is not just abstract theories, but practice, application. For example, deliberative democracy. So what does that mean? How deliberative democracy differs from participatory democracy? Why do you require deliberative democracy? One word answer. I ensure that my students have one word answer for everything. You require deliberative democracy for legitimacy, and you require legitimacy for continuation of something. A state cannot continue for long without being considered as legitimate. So Democracy give us a say. Democracy is not important for development. Democracy is important because it give us a say, it give us a voice. Giving a vote itself is a sense of empowerment. तो जब आप ये सब थ्योरीज पढ़ेंगे और ये सब जो आइडियाज हैं, ये बहुत सारे फिलोसफर्स जो हम लोग पढ़ते हैं, उसके बाद you will get lot of content and literature to talk on any topic, be it in your interview, be it in essay, be it in paper, and you will get the right perspective. आप चीजों को तभी तो समझेंगे जब आप उसकी थ्योरी समझेंगे, ठीक है? अब this paper I'll be taking, and as Satya sir must have told about Indian section, and I saw him giving the detailed view of that. So now this paper students often find, इसको ले जाओ, एक दूसरा ले आ दो, इतना दूर में। Students have lot of problem. मतलब एक stereotype है कि comparative politics is difficult, whereas comparative politics is easiest because mostly they will ask short notes, and there is not big difference in comparative politics and political theory. Okay, so what exactly is comparative politics? Do you know? Because you should not treat words literally. Okay, so in modern comparative politics, we basically study developing countries, politics of developing countries. जो ट्रेडिशनल कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स था, डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज. ओके, तो पहली चीज है किसी भी चीज को लिटरली नहीं लेना है और उसके इम्प्लीकेशंस को समझना होता है. तो कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स में जो सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर के बाद स्टार्ट होता है मॉडर्न कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स, तो हम डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज, लेकिन आपके सिलेबस अगर आप जीएस में देखेंगे तो जीएस में डिफरेंट कंट्रीज के कॉन्स्टिट्यूशंस एक्सपेक्टेड है. ये एक्सपेक्टेड है कि आप कंपेयर करें इलेक्शन ऑफ यूएस प्रेसिडेंट एंड इंडियन प्रेसिडेंट, बट यहाँ नहीं एक्सपेक्टेड है. यहाँ पर सिर्फ मेथडोलॉजी पर क्वेश्चंस हैं. यही मेथडोलॉजी आर इन पेपर 1, यही मेथडोलॉजी है. पूरा पेपर एक ही दिन होना है और इसको आप मैकेनिकल सेंस में ना देखें, ठीक है? अब कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स में डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज, थर्ड वर्ल्ड कंट्रीज, ये सब हम पढ़ रहे हैं. एक टाइम था व्हेन कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स एंड इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस वाज डिफरेंट. इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस क्या होता था? इंडिया पाकिस्तान रिलेशंस. कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स क्या होता था? डोमेस्टिक पॉलिटिक्स पढ़ना. लेकिन अब क्या है? ग्लोबलाइजेशन है. ग्लोबलाइजेशन का मतलब क्या है? बॉर्डरलेस वर्ल्ड. तो केवल टेरिटोरियल बॉर्डर्स हैव नॉट कोलैप्स्ड, ऑल बॉर्डर्स हैव कोलैप्स्ड, ठीक है? तो इसलिए अब कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स यानी आज डोमेस्टिक पॉलिटिक्स और इंटरनेशनल पॉलिटिक्स में डिफरेंसेस नहीं रहे, और कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स और इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस का जो स्कोप है वो ओवरलैपिंग हो गया. ओवरलैपिंग होने के कारण अगर यही सिलेबस पहले होता तो वो अलग ही होता, लेकिन ओवरलैप होने के कारण इट इज टुगेदर कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स एंड इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस. वैसे भी द वे आई टीच, आई डोंट डू इन अ मैकेनिकल मैनर. आई टीच इन अ मैनर कि आपका फर्स्ट टॉपिक और आपका लास्ट टॉपिक वो एक थ्रेड में बंधा रहे, क्योंकि क्वेश्चंस कहीं भी कैसे भी पूछे जा सकते हैं, ठीक है? तो कंपैरेटिव पॉलिटिक्स टेक्निकली तो ये सिलेबस यहाँ से यहाँ तक है। आज जैसे डोमेस्टिक पॉलिटिक्स भी हमको आईआर में पढ़ना है, मान लीजिए सीरिया में इंसर्जेंसी हो गई, या म्यांमार की जो इंटरनल इश्यूज हैं, या बांग्लादेश के जो इंटरनल इश्यूज हैं, या चेंज ऑफ गवर्नमेंट इन श्रीलंका है, वो सब हमारा कंसर्न है। तो डोमेस्टिक आईआर आज ऐसा नहीं होगा जैसे आप न्यूज पढ़ रहे हैं, ऐसे नहीं कि आप केवल बाइलेटरल मल्टीलेटरल पढ़ें, आपको डोमेस्टिक भी पढ़ना पड़ेगा। ओके, क्योंकि डोमेस्टिक अब किसी चीज की बाउंड्रीज ही नहीं रही, वर्ड हैज बिकम पोरस, इसीलिए हम कह रहे हैं सब्जेक्ट्स की भी बाउंड्रीज नहीं है, ना जीएस ना ऑप्शनल, बस आपको नॉलेज होनी चाहिए ए टू जेड। अब जैसे ग्लोबलाइजेशन है, कई लोग बहुत टेक्निकली पढ़ते हैं, रिस्पॉन्सेज फ्रॉम डेवलप्ड एंड डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज, नहीं, जो ट्रेंड में है वो आपको पढ़ना पड़ेगा। ग्लोबलाइजेशन रिस्पॉन्सेज फ्रॉम डेवलप्ड एंड डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज, क्या हम इंडिया ऑर्गेनाइजिंग G20 को हम इसमें डाल सकते हैं? है ना रिस्पॉन्स कि नहीं है? डेवलपिंग कंट्री का है रिस्पॉन्स। तो ग्लोबलाइजेशन का क्या रिस्पॉन्स है? इनइक्वालिटी, सस्टेनेबल, लैक ऑफ सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट। इंडिया ने क्या किया? इंडिया हैज ब्रॉट अफ्रीकन यूनियन, फोकस ऑन ग्लोबल साउथ। तो क्वेश्चंस ऐसे लिटरली नहीं आते, राइट रिस्पॉन्सेस, इस पर बेस होके जो चीजें हो रही हैं उस पे आएंगे। ब्रिक्स करेंसी, कैन यू कॉल इट अ रिस्पॉन्स? तो जो भी प्रोमिनेंट इवेंट्स हैं या डेवलपमेंट्स हैं, वो सब आप इसको बहुत नैरो माइंड से और क्लोज्ड माइंड से सिलेबस नहीं पढ़े। क्वाड क्वाड कहीं दिख थोड़ी रहा है, लेकिन क्वाड तो आ सकता है क्वेश्चन में, साउथ चाइना सी, मैरीटाइम सिक्योरिटी। तो जो भी आप जीएस के लिए भी पढ़ेंगे, मतलब समझ लीजिए पूरा करंट पर बेस्ड होगा, लेकिन थ्योरी पर बेस होगा। जब आप सब्जेक्ट पढ़ लेंगे तो आपको उसका हिस्टोरिकल ओवरव्यू पता होगा, आपको उसका थ्योरेटिकल ओवरव्यू पता होगा। नेक्स्ट जो आईआर का टेक्निकली स्टार्ट होता है वो यहां से होता है, अप्रोचेस टू द स्टडी, आइडियलिस्ट, रियलिस्ट, मार्क्सिस्ट, फंक्शनलिस्ट एंड सिस्टम्स अप्रोच। लेकिन टीचर को ये पता होना चाहिए कि अगर रियलिस्ट से क्वेश्चन आएंगे तो क्या हो सकते हैं। रियलिज्म का मतलब केवल रियलिज्म नहीं पढ़ना है। जब आप रियलिज्म पढ़ रहे हैं तो आपको ये भी पता होना चाहिए पोस्ट मॉडर्निस्ट क्रिटिक ऑफ रियलिज्म। जब आप मार्क्सिज्म पढ़ रहे हैं तो आपको ये भी पता होना चाहिए पोस्ट कोलोनियल अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ मार्क्सिज्म। तो सिलेबस को ओपन अप करना है और केवल लिटरली नहीं लेना होता। ओके, और ये दूसरा थ्योरेटिकल टॉपिक है की कॉन्सेप्ट्स। इसके बाद जो कुछ आ रहा है पेपर 2 का ये पार्ट और सेक्शन ए, दिस इज टू बी डन टुगेदर। ओके, फॉर एग्जाम्पल देयर ऑल्सो WTO, यहाँ पर इंडिया एंड WTO। और ये भी इमेजिन नहीं करो कि सेक्शन बी में ये वाला आंसर आएगा, सेक्शन ए में आएगा। कुछ भी कहीं एक साल का जो भी आना होगा वो आ जाएगा। ओके, तो इंडिया एंड यूएन सिस्टम, वहां भी यूएन है, वहां न्यूक्लियर प्रोलिफरेशन है, यहाँ न्यूक्लियर क्वेश्चन है। इंडिया का न्यूक्लियर क्वेश्चन आप तब तक नहीं समझ सकते जब तक आपको न्यूक्लियर की थ्योरी ना पता हो, डिटरेंस की थ्योरी ना पता हो। शुड इंडिया गो फॉर फर्स्ट यूज? क्यों? लॉजिक क्या है? बिकॉज न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स आर वेपन्स ऑफ डिटरेंस, दे आर नॉट वेपन्स ऑफ वॉर। ठीक है, बट आर वी प्रिपेयरिंग इन द डायरेक्शन ऑफ फर्स्ट यूज? Yes, we are in the process of preparation of first use. How do I come to know? Because if you go for missile defense, if you go for ASAT, if you go for India is very specifically preparing for first use. How? When you go for surgical strike terrorism के लिए नहीं था, सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक था कि फर्स्ट स्ट्राइक हमारा कितना एप्रोप्रिएट हो सकता है। उसका सेकेंड एक्सपेरिमेंट जो बालाकोट है वो टेररिज्म के लिए नहीं है, वो फिर हमारी कैपेसिटी की टेस्टिंग है। अब इंटरव्यू में दे हैव आस्क्ड दिस क्वेश्चन, व्हाट इज द गोल्डीलॉक फिनोमेना ऑफ इंडियाज न्यूक्लियर डिलेमा। तो हमारी न्यूक्लियर पॉलिसी कैसी है? हमारी न्यूक्लियर पॉलिसी है एक्चुअली नो फर्स्ट यूज टुवर्ड्स चाइना और फर्स्ट यूज टुवर्ड्स पाकिस्तान। छोटे इंसान से कोई डरता है? नहीं डरता ना। तो जब हम चाइना की तरफ बात करते हैं तब हम सी बेस्ड डेटरेंस की बात करते हैं, और जब हम पाकिस्तान की बात करते हैं तो मिसाइल डिफेंस। तो अब थ्योरीज हैं, नट्स थ्योरी है, न्यूक्लियर यूटिलाइजेशन, टारगेट सिलेक्शन। आप फर्स्ट स्ट्राइक जैसे कई स्कॉलर्स हैं in MIT, I'm just not remembering the name, some Vineet or something right now, I'm not remembering. So they have said we have already, क्वेश्चन GS में भी आता है और पॉल साइंस में भी आता है, should we shift towards no first use? But there are people who are saying you are already shifted. India has already shifted. अब ये गोल्डीलॉक डिलेमा क्या है? गोल्डीलॉक का मतलब है what is just right. ठीक है, गोल्डीलॉक मतलब द वार्म सूप शुड बी जस्ट एट द राइट टेम्परेचर। तो हमारा गोल्डीलॉक फिनोमिना क्या है? वो ये है कि हम जो फर्स्ट यूज के एक्शन ले रहे हैं इन कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ पाकिस्तान, क्योंकि पाकिस्तान की तो नो फर्स्ट यूज पॉलिसी नहीं है, तो शुड वी वेट फॉर देम टू अटैक एंड देन रिटेलिएट? नो, ऑफेंस इज ऑल्सो डिफेंस। ठीक है, लेकिन जब हम पाकिस्तान के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में प्रिपरेटरी मेजर्स ले रहे हैं तो वो चाइना को इंडिकेशन जा रहा है कि इंडिया इज प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर फर्स्ट स्ट्राइक। तो उसमें चाइना भी जो होगा वो फर्स्ट स्ट्राइक की तरफ बढ़ेगा। तो हमारा गोल्डीलॉक डिलेमा क्या है? दैट वी डेवलप फर्स्ट स्ट्राइक कैपेबिलिटी without communicating to China that we are going for the first use against China. अब ये जो इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चंस हैं वो ऐसा नहीं है कि केवल पॉल साइंस वालों से पूछे। क्यों? क्योंकि इंटरव्यू में बहुत नेचुरल है, हर इंसान इंटरेस्ट लेता है इंटरनेशनल अफेयर्स में। सबसे ज्यादा क्वेश्चंस का ट्रेंड ही इंटरनेशनल अफेयर्स पर है, लेकिन जब आप ये आंसर देंगे तो यू विल बी गिविंग दिस आंसर इन अ वेरी कॉन्फिडेंट मैनर, बिकॉज यू नो A to Z, you know the different dimensions of the things. अब इन सब चीजों का प्रिपरेशन कैसे करना है? जस्ट क्लास डिस्कशन and class notes. Nothing is required, though some students may require. So depending on your requirement we can suggest books, but the history says nobody reads, क्योंकि आपके पास टाइम नहीं होता। आपके पास 4 साल का टाइम है, 4 साल आप लगाएंगे भी तो जो इस साल पढ़ेंगे वो फिर रिडंडेंट हो जाए, तो बुक्स कोई पढ़ नहीं पाता है। आप यहाँ पे कुछ टेक्स्ट बुक ले सकते हैं रेफरेंस के लिए, लेकिन आई हैव वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग बिलीफ दैट यू शुड not ignore newspaper, and in newspaper even if with my notes, because class खत्म भी होगा लेकिन चीजें तो डेवलप होती जाएंगी, तो हमारे नोट्स के साथ इफ यू टेक हिंदू, नो इंडियन एक्सप्रेस, नथिंग, बिकॉज मोर कंटेंट वी विल हैव, मोर इट विल बी डिफिकल्ट टू मैनेज। जब हम 2 पेपर में से लेके एक भी नहीं पढ़ पाते तो जरूरत क्या है नाटक करने की। सीधे आप हिंदू लीजिए, हिंदू के जो एडिटोरियल्स है उसको ही कोई पढ़ ले तो भी उसके बहुत ही ज्यादा अच्छे मार्क्स आ जाए। ओके so this is how something about the syllabus, about the orientation, the mental preparedness which is required for the exam. And when you study this subject should give you a lot of mental peace, because you will have notes at one place, and I don't think anything will come beyond that. There was one topper, Dinesh, I think ranked 5th or 7th, and his only criteria, the first criteria why he has chosen political science was he thought that he doesn't have to run for notes, at least at one place. And then most of the students, when political science is one such subject, politics is one such area, everybody falls in love with that. ठीक है, तो बहुत सारे लोग तो अपने बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स तो हार्वर्ड भी चले जाते, उनको लगता है वहां पे करेंगे। तो देयर इज द क्लासेस मींस लुक फ्रॉम वेरी ओपन एंडेड पर्सपेक्टिव, और अगर आप एक बार उसको पकड़ लिया ना, यूपीएससी के नब्स को पकड़ना होता है किसी भी चीज के लिए। एक अच्छा डॉक्टर नब्स जानता है, आपने अगर उस चीज की नब्स को पकड़ लिया तो आप चीजों को कर सकते हैं। So that was from my side. Now tell me what questions you have. आपके दिमाग में कोई क्वेश्चन? कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं, कोई क्वेश्चन ही नहीं है। हाँ, आपको पता है इंडियंस को क्या बोलते हैं? आर्ग्यूमेंटेटिव इंडियंस। तो अगर आप क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछ रहे हैं तो आई होप यू आर इंडियन। बांग्लादेश से तो नहीं आए तुम लोग, को है कोई यहाँ बांग्लादेश का? तो क्वेश्चन क्यों नहीं पूछ रहे हो? इंडियंस आर व्हाट?
Like ma'am, in answer writing generally we see that in GS, as you mentioned, there are
माइक इधर रखो।
there are overlappings from men's syllabus, and so can we use like some scholars names that in
Yes, why not?
GS answers also?
पहले बताओ क्यों नहीं, तुम्हारा दिमाग खुद आंसर देगा। अपने जो भी स्टूडेंट पॉलिटिकल साइंस के पर्सपेक्टिव से लिखते हैं उन्हीं के हाईएस्ट मार्क्स आते हैं। ठीक है, कोई स्कॉलर का नाम नहीं है कि ये पॉलिटिकल फिलोसफर है। नीट से तो सभी जगह है, कोई ऐसा स्पेसिफिक थोड़ी होता है। और नॉलेज क्या कभी नुकसान करती है? वो तो आपका हायर क्वालिटी और लेवल बताता है। तो क्यों नहीं यूज कर सकते? अगर हमारे पास नॉलेज है और हम इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ को अमर्त्य सेन के थ्रू करेंगे तो क्यों नहीं करेंगे? क्या अमर्त्य सेन पॉलिटिकल साइंस का थिंकर नहीं, वो तो इकोनॉमिक्स है। नॉलेज वैसे ही कंपार्टमेंटलाइज नहीं है, लेकिन इससे ज्यादा कि क्या हम वो थिंकर यूज कर सकते हैं। फोकस करो कि क्या वो क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है वो समझ में आता है कि नहीं। लोगों को क्वेश्चन ही नहीं समझ में आता, ठीक है। और क्वेश्चन का डीकंस्ट्रक्शन करना, क्वेश्चन की बेसिक चीजें समझना। पहले क्वेश्चन सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्वेश्चन समझ लेना सबसे बड़ी स्किल है, कॉम्प्रिहेंशन स्किल। और उसके बाद एसेंशियल एलिमेंट्स को जान लेना कि इतना तो मस्ट है। और उसके बाद यू कैन डू सम वॉट एवर आइसिंग और टॉपिंग आपको करना है, आप कर सकते हैं। तो डोंट ऐसे मत समझो कि आप लक्ष्मीकांत से लिखेंगे और आपको GS2 में मार्क्स आ जाएंगे। लक्ष्मीकांत से तो क्वेश्चन ही नहीं पाएंगे, मार्क्स तो बाद में आएंगे। ठीक है, क्वेश्चंस कैसे हैं? क्वेश्चंस इवन इन जीएस आर वेरी एनालिटिकल क्वेश्चंस, तो इट्स नॉट बिकॉज जैसे एक बेसिक्स आपके क्वेश्चन हो चुके हैं ना, यूपीएससी रिपीट थोड़ी करेगी, बहुत रेयर रिपीट करेगी, तो वो लोग क्या करेंगे, डीप 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 जाते चले जाएंगे। तो आपको लेवल, इस साल जो एग्जाम हो गया ना, अगले साल उस लेवल का नहीं होगा, अगले साल उससे हायर लेवल, क्योंकि लोगों को पता चल गया। इसलिए अहेड रहो, रिस्पॉन्सिव नहीं रहना है। हमारी जो स्ट्रेटजी होती है वो ना तो फायर फाइटिंग होनी चाहिए, ना रिएक्टिव होनी चाहिए। हमारी स्ट्रेटजी हमेशा प्रोएक्टिव होनी चाहिए, इसीलिए हम लोग बिलीव करते हैं ऑलवेज अहेड। यस, हम बता रहे एक्सपेरिमेंट करो, एक्सपेरिमेंट करने से डरो नहीं, क्योंकि एनीथिंग न्यू, एनीथिंग फ्रेश इज ऑलवेज लाइक्ड। हर इंसान कुछ फ्रेशनेस सोचता है, तो आप फ्रेशनेस आंसर्स में कैसे लाएंगे? और एग्जाम, कोई भी चीज हम अच्छे से तब कर पाते हैं जब हम ह्यूमन साइकोलॉजी समझते हैं। ठीक है, तो एग्जामिनर भी कौन है? वो भी ह्यूमन है। ह्यूमंस को क्या पसंद है? बड़ी बड़ी बातें। हम कोट्स क्यों लिखते हैं? कोट्स है, शेर है, शायरी है, आप तो वो भी लिख सकते हैं, लेकिन आपको ये पता होना चाहिए, पहले नॉलेज हो और उसको यूज, कोई कॉन्स्ट्रेन नहीं है। ह्यूमैनिटीज ही तो एक ऐसा एरिया है जहां पे बहुत ओपन एंडेड चीजें चलती हैं। ठीक है, डरो नहीं। तो प्रिंस हैज टू बी ब्रेव लाइक लायन एंड क्लेवर लाइक फॉक्स। तो फॉक्स वाली क्लेवरनेस चाहिए, हाथी वाली नहीं। तो फॉक्स वाली क्लेवरनेस क्या होती है? शार्प। ठीक है, तो इसीलिए पढ़ना इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं, इट इज नॉट इंपॉर्टेंट टू बी नॉलेजेबल, इट इज मोर इंपॉर्टेंट टू बी वाइज। वाइज होना, शार्प होना, क्लेवर होना इंपॉर्टेंट है। पहले तो नॉलेजेबल होना इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, यहाँ पे वाइज होना इंपॉर्टेंट है, मतलब प्रैक्टिकल होना चाहिए। और वाइज होना भी उतना इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं जितना क्लेवर। तो उसको आप क्या कर रहे हो, नैरो डाउन करते जा रहे हो। अगर आप क्लेवर नहीं होगे तो वैसे ही प्रीलिम्स भी नहीं होगा। प्रीलिम्स केवल पढ़ने से थोड़ी होगा, विदाउट बीइंग स्मार्ट एंड क्लेवर। ठीक है, और कोई क्वेश्चन? हमको लग रहा है आप तुम लोग सब इंडिया से हो ही नहीं आगे। पहले सिलेबस खत्म करना फर्स्ट, एंड आंसर ऑफ वन टॉपिक कैन इंक्लूड रिलेशन विथ मेनी अदर टॉपिक। तो एक जब सिलेबस खत्म हो जाता है तो एक होलिस्टिक व्यू सामने आता है, तब आप आंसर लिखें। तो शुरुआत में आंसर ना लिखें, ठीक है, सिर्फ क्वेश्चन को देख करके मेंटल फ्रेमिंग करें, स्ट्रक्चरिंग करें। और आंसर राइटिंग सिलेबस का पूरे पार्ट जब तक नहीं खत्म होते, यू विल नेवर बी एबल। ऐसा नहीं होता टुडे आई विल राइट एन आंसर विच विल स्टार्ट appearing, मतलब today some answer is appearing good to me but tomorrow it will not, because my knowledge will increase, other developments will increase and it will become redundant. तो आंसर राइटिंग की प्रैक्टिस से ज्यादा मुझे लगता है थिंकिंग की प्रैक्टिस करना। और राइटिंग तभी आती है जब कोई बोल पाता। ठीक है, ओरल एंड राइटिंग बोथ आर इंटरलिंक। केवल लिख लिख के नहीं होगा, आप बोल पाए किसी भी टॉपिक पे, इफ यू कैन स्पीक देन यू कैन राइट। तो आप कम्युनिकेशन की प्रैक्टिस करिए, एकदम आंसर राइटिंग की मत करिए, कम्युनिकेशन करिए। कम्युनिकेशन के डिफरेंट फॉर्म्स की प्रैक्टिस करिए शुरुआत में। ओके, अगर आप मेंस प्रीलिम्स के बाद वाला ये आंसर पूछ रहे होते तो बताया जा सकता है कि अगर आपने ये क्वेश्चन तब पूछा होता कि प्रीलिम्स हो गया, मेंस की तैयारी, तो मेरा सिंपल आंसर होता अपना दिमाग नहीं लगाना है, क्लास में आना है, जो हम प्री वाई क्यू कर रहे हैं वो करके रट के चले जाना है। लेकिन जब आज आप पूछ रहे हैं तब हम बहुत ही ब्रॉड सेंस में कह रहे हैं कम्युनिकेशन स्किल डेवलप करिए, कॉम्प्रिहेंशन स्किल, कम्युनिकेशन स्किल, और पहले ओरल स्किल डेवलप करो, पहले थोड़ा नेतागिरी करना सीखो। हाँ, ये एक्सपेरिमेंट करें, नेतागिरी करें, आपकी बात कोई सुनता है, आपकी बात कोई समझता है, अगर आपकी बात समझ में आएगी तो सुन भी लेंगे लोग, और जिसकी बात समझ नहीं आई उसको सुनेंगे भी नहीं। तो लोगों के साथ एक्सपेरिमेंट करो, ठीक है, जबरदस्ती घुसो किसी की जिंदगी में, खुद के एक्सपेरिमेंट के लिए। अगर आप शाई हैं तो आप पब्लिक स्फीयर के लिए है नहीं, ठीक है, तो डोंट बी शाई, डोंट बी हेजिटेंट, डोंट बी रिलक्टेंट। यही सब चीजें चाहिए कलेक्टर की पर्सनालिटी में, है ना। आप डर नहीं सकते हैं, आप हेजिटेंट नहीं हो सकते, आपके अंदर कॉन्फिडेंस होना चाहिए। और देर इज नथिंग रॉन्ग इन एक्सपेरिमेंटिंग विद द पीपल, करो। और मतलब आपको लीडर बनना है। लीडर वही है ना जिसकी बात लोग सुन लेते हैं और फिर भी परेशान नहीं होते हैं। तो अगर ये लीडरी करोगे, इसीलिए जब हमारा डैब भरा जाता है तो पूछते हैं हैव यू डन एनी लीडर, हैव डू यू हैव एनी एक्सपीरियंस इन लीडरशिप पोजीशन। तो लीडरशिप चाहिए ना, हर आंसर लिखना एक लीडरशिप है। लीडर क्या होता है, हम डिफिकल्ट टाइम्स में उसको देखते हैं। आंसर एग्जामिनेशन क्या है, मुश्किल समय। मुश्किल समय का 3 घंटा जो पार कर ले अच्छे से, बस उसका ही हो जाता है सिलेक्शन। या कई लोग पेपर देख के घबरा जाते हैं, किसी को ग्लूकोज लगता है, किसी को कुछ लगता है, तो उनका बड़ा मुश्किल है। बस तुम अगर लीडरशिप की प्रैक्टिस कर लोगे तो भी यहाँ पे हो जाएगा। बताओ, ये एकेडमिक्स एग्जाम है ही नहीं। यहाँ पे जैसे पॉल साइंस का हम लोग एकेडमिक्स पढ़ रहे हैं, हर चीज का टर्मिनोलॉजी समझ जा रहे हैं, लेकिन उसके बाद सब एप्लीकेशन ही है। और इंसानों के साथ ही करो एक्सपेरिमेंट। बोलो।
एक्चुअली मैम, अब की बार में 2025 वाला मेंस टारगेट कर सकते हैं इस ऑप्शनल से?
इस साल आपको देना है?
जी मैम।
तो आपने पढ़ा है मेरे नोट्स या कुछ पढ़ा है?
अभी कुछ नहीं मैम, अभी मैंने जीएस कंप्लीट किया है।
तो कब पढ़ेंगे ऑप्शनल?
बस लेने
है?
लेने मतलब ये वाला बैच आपका क्या बोल रहे हैं कंप्लीट करने के बाद ही?
ये वाला बैच
28 जनवरी वाला।
अभी आप एकदम इस साल देना क्यों चाहते हैं?
मेरा कंप्लीट है जीएस इस बार। हाँ, आपसे
ये बहुत
कंप्लीट
बड़ा
नहीं है,
स्टेटमेंट है।
सोच रहा हूँ
हम
देने के
आज
लिए।
नहीं कह सकते मेरा पॉलिटी DS2 कंप्लीट। ये बहुत जबरदस्त स्टेटमेंट है ना,
मैम
बोल्ड स्टेटमेंट।
मैनेजेबल नहीं था, मतलब जब मैंने एडमिशन लिया जीएस का तो इसलिए मैं ऑप्शनल नहीं लिया। मुझसे बहुत लोग बोले कि ऑप्शनल ले लो, लेकिन मैंने नहीं लिया।
ऑप्शनल आपको साथ ही में लेना चाहिए था।
मेरे लिए
जो
मैनेजेबल नहीं था इसलिए नहीं लिया मैंने। मेरे लिए मैनेजेबल नहीं था इसलिए नहीं लिया मैंने।
तो अब क्या प्रीलिम्स के बाद मैनेजेबल है, जब प्रीलिम्स का टाइम इतना कम है? तो जब तक आप पढ़ेंगे नहीं, प्रोसेस जब तक ढंग से कंप्लीट नहीं, अगर तब कर लिए होते हिम्मत करके, जहां इतना मैनेज कर रहे थे 2.5 घंटा और मैनेज कर लिए होते तो फिर भी आसान होता। लेकिन आज हम प्रीलिम्स निकाल भी लेंगे तो मेंस ऐसे थोड़ी निकल जाएगा। अब अगर मतलब मैं 1-2 स्टूडेंट्स जो इस साल एग्जाम देंगे उनके लिए पूरा कोर्स का वो फ्लो नहीं बदलूंगी, ठीक है, क्योंकि मेरे हिसाब से जो इस साल ही एग्जाम दे रहा है उसका अप्रोच गलत है। या तो वो पॉल साइंस में BA MA होता, आप हैं, अगर आप BA MA हैं तो, और अगर आप मतलब आप फरवरी में जाके इस साल कौन ऑप्शनल पढ़ेगा? तो अब अगर आपका कुछ भी होता तो अब तो वो टाइम है जो इस साल के लिए प्रीलिम्स की तैयारी करें, और अगर आप होते तो अगर आप इससे दे रहे होते तो राइट तरीका क्या होता? अगर मान लो आप एमए हैं, सब्जेक्ट में बीए एमए, तो हम ये कह सकते थे कि आप हमारे नोट्स लेके पढ़ो और जो पॉल साइंस मेंटरशिप है उसमें आओ। लेकिन क्या इतना आप कर पाएंगे? क्योंकि जित एवरी डे इतना करंट बढ़ जाएगा, तो समय कहाँ है? तो अब ये तो आपको डिसाइड करना है। इन केस इस आप बिल्कुल फर्म हो कि हमने ऐसे भी कर लिया, एथिक्स भी कर लिया और बस प्रीलिम्स इधर निकला और उधर मेंस, तभी करो। वरना ये स्टिग्मा भी मत लगाओ कि फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में नहीं हुआ, क्योंकि अभी ऐसे लगता है, लेकिन जब फेलियर होता है ना तो बड़ा धक्का भी लगता है, वो मेंटल थोड़ा इम्पैक्ट भी करता है। तो जब तक आपने पूरी प्रोसेस ही नहीं की तो कैसे, मतलब दैट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट। कुछ लोगों का हो भी जाता है, फिर वो रट रटा के आप कर सकते हैं। तो आपके लिए फिर बेस्ट वही होगा कि आप स्टडी मटेरियल लेके सेल्फ स्टडी करें या टैबलेट कोर्स अपने स्पीड से खत्म करें और यही मेंटरशिप वाला काम करें। क्योंकि शुरुआत में, और स्पेशली जैसे जो क्लास में बहुत सारे बच्चे होंगे जो पॉल साइंस बैकग्राउंड के नहीं होंगे, जो साइंस बैकग्राउंड के भी होंगे, और जिनको पॉल साइंस बैकग्राउंड के होंगे भी, उन्हें कुछ पता थोड़ी है, बिकॉज दैट इज द एक्सपीरियंस, दे डोंट नो। अभी आप जैसे आपने बीए एमए किया था तो आपको पहले ही बता देना था प्रिंसिपल टू डिस्टेंस, है ना, वो बहुत बेसिक चीज है। तो अब ये भी तो देखो, जिस साल तुम मेंस दोगे वो वाले लोग भी दे रहे हैं जो ऑलरेडी कस्टम्स में भी हैं और ऑलरेडी आईपीएस में भी है, तो कंपटीशन का लेवल भी तो है। इसमें ये मैटर नहीं करता कितना हमें आता है, ये मैटर करता है कि हमें दूसरे से कितना ज्यादा आता है। तो हमें ये प्रैक्टिकल गोल नहीं लगता, बाकी आप डिसाइड कर सकते हैं। ऐसे लोगों को तो फिर हम यही कहेंगे क्वेश्चन आंसर वाला क्लास, जिसको बिल्कुल देना ही देना है। तो चलो, तुम्हारा सब जीएस तो तैयार ही है, एक क्वेश्चन बता दो। अरे नहीं, आप इन्होंने तब, क्योंकि हमको फिर इनको सीरियसली सोचना पड़ेगा भाई, अगर इनका है स्कोप तो मेंस निकलवाना पड़ेगा। तो क्वेश्चन ये है, जैसे राज्यसभा, ये जीएस2 का क्वेश्चन है, अभी कि हम मतलब लास्ट टू लास्ट ईयर आया है। राज्यसभा हैज बीन a useless stepney tire, but in past few years it has gained relevance। हो जाएगा ये आंसर? हाँ,
सॉरी मैम।
सॉरी क्यों, ये तो इसमें क्या है, तो कोई भी कर लेगा। जब पहला आप पॉलिटिक्स, पहली लोग प्रिपरेशन करते हैं लक्ष्मीकांत की किताब उठाते हैं, तो राज्यसभा क्या है? ये अपर हाउस हैज बीन अ यूजलेस स्टेपनी टायर। ठीक है, इसमें क्या लिखना था? है? तो इसको कैसे लिखोगे, कैसे सब्सटैंशिएट, कैसे कम हो गया भाई, तो बताओ। अब इसमें कोई पढ़ के करने की कुछ ऐसा थोड़ी है, क्वेश्चंस ऐसे होते हैं जो थिंकिंग इन्वॉल्व होती है उसमें। बट इन पास्ट फ्यू इयर्स इट हैज गेन्ड रेलिवेंस। रेलिवेंस क्यों बढ़ा राज्यसभा का? कौन सा आर्टिकल? आर्टिकल 370 से बढ़ गया, वो तो जम्मू कश्मीर से संबंधित था। कौन सा?
वहीं से उसको स्टार्ट किया गया, गिराया गया, मतलब उसको
आर्टिकल 370 खत्म करने के कारण राज्यसभा का स्कोप कैसे बढ़ जाएगा? तो उससे क्या होता है, मान लो कल हमारे इंस्टीट्यूशन से 370 मोदी जी डिक्लेयर कर देते तो हमारे इंस्टीट्यूशन का इंपॉर्टेंस बढ़ जाता है। राज्यसभा का इंपॉर्टेंस इसलिए बढ़ा कि आर्टिकल 370 वाला रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन राज्यसभा से किया गया। क्या ये सही है? आत्मा गवा दे रही है इस पॉइंट पर। इसका कोई संबंध ही नहीं है, यानी कंसेप्ट और सिस्टम की समझ नहीं है। भाई राज्यसभा का इंपॉर्टेंस कब बढ़ेगा? किसी का इंपॉर्टेंस तब बढ़ता है जब वो अपना काम करे और अच्छे से करे। तो अपोजिशन एज मेजॉरिटी, तो अपोजिशन एज मेजॉरिटी, अपोजिशन के पास मेजॉरिटी है तो राज्यसभा अच्छे से काम कर रहा है। क्या अपोजिशन को राइट होना चाहिए टू सैबोटाज द गवर्नमेंट? फिर क्या चाहिए? दे आर रेजिंग क्वेश्चंस, दे आर, या तो कह दो दे आर रेजिंग गुड क्वेश्चंस। Earlier they were raising bad questions, but how do you decide all these things? अरे ये सब कुछ नहीं है, आपको सिस्टमिक फैक्टर्स पे काम करना है। सबसे पहली बात, क्वेश्चंस क्या होते हैं? ट्रैप होते हैं। इसीलिए मैंने बताया कॉम्प्रिहेंशन स्किल। अगर ये लिखा भी है, ठीक है, अगर ये लिखा भी है कि राज्यसभा इज अ यूजलेस स्टेपनी, डजंट मीन आपको एग्री होना जरूरी। ठीक है, इट इज रॉन्ग टू से सो। It is an integral part of India's parliament. It was never visualized in that same. The reason क्या है? Reason है कि because Rajya Sabha doesn't have power to throw the government out, but that is not their role. In recent time, its importance has increased not because of Article 370, because in past few years, you can say, अगर हम before 2014 की भी बात करते हैं, there was a coalition era. So it provided stability, it provided continuity. तो बेसिक्स चीजों को आपको तो पता होना चाहिए, कुछ भी आंसर लिखने से मार्क्स थोड़ी आता। चलो, so anything else, just some questions, then I'll finish. Pardon? Course is for people of South only in English, but in the class there will be people from North. Something which I will use both the language, but the course is English, because these days Generation Z don't understand even Hindi. Fine, but it doesn't mean that I will not use Hindi. I will use Hindi, but you will not be missing anything. Fine, for the ease of the understanding we will be using. In Delhi and in North, you can't expect a North Indian not using Hindi at all. Sometimes, but as a South Indian student, will not suffer anything. We will discuss everything in English only, but from time to time we may explain in Hindi also. Yes, we'll start with thought. That doesn't matter. Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. It's really a great session with you, ma'am. And
Pardon?
I am, ma'am, it's really a great session, ma'am. I am from humanities background, and I done my schooling in Hindi medium, ma'am.
Okay.
So, ma'am, can you please tell me, ma'am, how can I, ma'am, develop, ma'am, good vocabulary for political science optional?
Vocabulary for political science doesn't mean good English. Vocabulary means terms.
Okay, ma'am.
That we will discuss.
Okay, ma'am. Like it will not affect my understanding in PSIR.
No, this will not impact. It is very simple. Actually, good language means very simple language.
Okay.
Fine.
Yes.
We don't have to write literary language, but we have to use the word correctly. Where liberalism, then liberalism. Where socialism, socialism. Yes. For writing and all. That we do. My class is thinking class. Not at the end, consistently. I will be just asking questions, you yourself will be writing answers. I teach in that manner where I ask, actually I am taking your fees, but you all tell me answers. Right? So students, because political science is something which is humanities, it is not rocket science. All of you can answer those questions. All of you can at least say right or wrong. Suppose, how do I teach, let's say India, Pakistan. So now my question is, if you have to prevent terrorism from Pakistan, what should be our approach? What should we do? Border security. Then next, border security. And again, they always expect some out of box. Awareness. Whose awareness? Local people's awareness. Pardon? Okay. Should we encourage investment from Pakistan in Indian economy? But do they have money? So we should, if you want to prevent terrorism, we have to increase the investment in Indian economy, but unfortunately Pakistan does not have. So the countries that have leverage on Pakistan, okay, means you increase investment of Saudi Arabia, you increase investment of UAE, where Pakistan goes with a begging ball. Fine. Even investment of China. Pakistan you can't handle. And border, you can never have foolproof. No, one solution never works. Okay. Yes. Next.
Ma'am,
Just a bit.
ma'am, my first attempt will be in 2027. So when to start reading newspaper?
Now. You have to start from now itself. What is stopping you from now? Because once you will start now, then gradually you will start understanding. Things will be repeated. Do you think Gaza conflict is going to solve in 27? There, it's running from 47. So it's a building gradually. Newspaper, you don't just read to have facts. You also read to develop language, concepts. Fine. Satya sir hai kya udhar? Anything else? फिफ्टीन आप 11 बजे वाला ले रहे हैं. अच्छा वो 6 months वाला. ये सब बताएंगे थोड़ा ज्यादा. हाँ, उनको माइक.
सर जैसे कि जो कोर्स मैं ले रहा हूँ वो 15 फरवरी को स्टार्ट होगा, तो अभी तो 1 मंथ का टाइम है बिटवीन, तो फिर व्हाट शुड आई डू? कुछ एक्स्ट्रा? हाँ ऐसा करके, क्योंकि मेरा बेस उतना अच्छा नहीं है. पॉलिटिकल साइंस मेरा ग्रेजुएशन सब्जेक्ट था, लेकिन कॉन्फिडेंस मेरे पास उतना नहीं है कि
जीएस पढ़े. जैसे पॉल साइंस, इफ यू विल आस्क कि to develop understanding on political science, So political science is very much based in history. So if you will read NCERT world history, because we will use lot of things like Renaissance, Reformation, Enlightenment. So, and even Indian government and politics, post independence. So if your general studies are good, you will not find any problem. Utilize. Anyway, nobody reads world history, post independence, these areas remain neglected, so use it to cover that. I will say history padhiye.
Thank you.
Any other question? That is separate. Yes, please.
सर GS2 के लिए करंट अफेयर्स को कवर करना और PSIR के लिए करंट अफेयर्स को कवर करने में कोई अप्रोच में डिफरेंस चाहिए होगा?
There should not be any difference.
अप्रोच डिफरेंट नहीं है, लेकिन एरियाज डिफरेंट है. ठीक है, जैसे इन GS माइक्रो क्वेश्चंस कैन बी आस्क्ड. जैसे GS में ये क्वेश्चन, और ऑल साइंस में भी आ सकता है, लेकिन GS में ज्यादा स्कोप है. फॉर एग्जांपल EVM कंट्रोवर्सी. ठीक है, यहां पर थोड़ा जेनरिक. ऑल GS में आपसे GST का एक स्पेसिफिक माइक्रो एरिया पूछा जा सकता है, लेकिन यहां पर कंसेप्चुअल ज्यादा पूछा जाएगा. हाउ GST goes with Indian model of federalism. लेकिन in past 2-3 years we are saying more GS type questions are coming in optional, more optional type questions are coming in GS. तो पढ़ना आपको यही है. लेकिन अब जैसे मान लो ऐसे क्वेश्चन हम लोग नहीं इमेजिन कर सकते हैं, कंडक्ट ऑफ इलेक्शन रूल्स अमेंडमेंट्स, लेकिन वो तो आ सकते हैं आपके उसमें GS में. ठीक है, तो GS में मान लो ये जरूरी नहीं है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट का स्पेसिफिक जजमेंट पॉल साइंस में आ जाए. माइनॉरिटी मतलब बहुत माइक्रो व्यू है, हमारे यहाँ मैक्रो व्यू है. ब्रॉड अंडरस्टैंडिंग, रोल ऑफ जुडिशरी, एकदम स्पेसिफिक ऐसे नहीं पूछेंगे कि दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग. GS में आपका ऐसे आ जाएगा फ्रीडम ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट पर जुडिशरी या ऐसे कुछ. यहाँ पे आ सकता है. दोनों में से भी, चाहे आप GS के लिए पढ़े और दिस वन, यू विल हैव टू स्टडी एवरीथिंग. Those examples you use here. Okay, again don't see it in a segregated manner, and Pol Science will develop understanding which people lack because in Lakshmikant that theory is missing. Okay, yes.
और मैम डाटा या एग्जांपल कितना रेलेवेंट होगा? PSIR में मेंशन करना पड़ेगा या क्या?
Yes, if you want marks, yes, but nobody writes ideal answers. And people get good ranks by scoring around 50 to 55%. 55% में you will be topper. तो वो तो बहुत ideal answer है that you will write data, you write a scholar, you write stats, example. But I am telling that practically the competition is such, people even don't are able to deconstruct the question itself. So bar is actually less. Your biggest challenge is clear prelims. Okay.
9 months course में there will be explanation of the topic along with dictation. Explain किया जाएगा, notes dictate किया जाएगा, आप लिखेंगे. Which is the usual course. The 6 months course is dictation part उसमें नहीं रहेगा. So you'll be given handout. वो handout किसका रहेगा? जो भी parallel batch जो कि just finished topic रहेगा. Let us say किसी batch में Plato topic finish हुआ 10 दिन पहले, उस batch के handouts होगा आपको दिया जाएगा. So in 6 months course and 9 months course, there's only one difference. One is not having dictation, just the explanation. In other, it is explanation plus dictation. रेस्ट जो डाउट सेशंस होते हैं ऐसे ही होंगे. So the 3 months gap is just for
Means because the normal duration will be and the normal method is explanation and dictation, but certain students want to finish it faster. So we have realized that if you have to do fast, we will have to compromise with the content. So what is the middle path? The middle path is content is given, maybe some very abstract philosophical topics, but dictation part will be less. For example, UN and all, majority part will be in form of content, because otherwise we cannot do that we cover comprehensively, then dictate also, and then finish. That's not possible. So this is the only way out.
सर वो ऑप्शनल से शुरू करना चाहता था ना, तो 3-4 महीने बाद मतलब जीएस शुरू करूं या केवल ऑप्शनल से मैं शुरू करूं अभी, क्योंकि मैं जी
टारगेट ये कौन सा है?
26 वाला.
तो आई थिंक पैरेलली स्टार्ट करना पड़ेगा. यू डोंट हैव एनी मतलब और ऑप्शन नहीं है ना, बिकॉज जीएस विल आल्सो टेक some 11-12 months to finish. तो I think parallelly have to start. You can
ज़्यादा
delay.
ऐसा तो नहीं कि मैनेज करना नहीं मतलब पॉसिबल नहीं होगा या
नहीं, हो
फिर
जाएगा. मतलब according to my opinion
आप मैनेज कर सकते हैं. जैसे अब इनका एग्जाम है तब इनके लिए दिक्कत है.
parallelly start करना.
पैरेलली स्टार्ट.
Yes, suggested.
क्योंकि जीएस की नॉलेज से आपको ऑप्शनल में समझ पड़ती है और ऑप्शनल पढ़ के जीएस की समझ पड़ती है. दोनों में ऑर्गेनिक तरीका से पढ़ना पड़ता है, और क्लासेस एक बार करने, एक ही साथ करके खत्म करने, फिर सेल्फ स्टडी करनी है.
मैम मेरा अभी जीएस हुआ नहीं है, तो जीएस विदाउट कंप्लीट जीएस मतलब जीएस कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ तो ऑप्शन समझ में आ जाएगा क्या?
अरे नहीं आएगा तो हम पढ़ाना छोड़ देंगे,
तो
आ जाएगा.
और यहाँ
तुमको जीएस भी समझ में आ जाएगा. हाँ, और बताओ.
आंसर राइटिंग वगैरह भी करवा जाएगा?
आंसर राइटिंग तो पॉल साइंस में नहीं हो पाएगी, फाइन, क्योंकि वो एक स्ट्रक्चर ढंग से होती है. लेकिन पॉल साइंस में अभी मैंने बताया ना, अभी आंसर लिखो नहीं, पहले समझो तो चीजें. ये फॉर्मूला कभी नहीं रखो 1 day 1 answer एंड ऑल, ये सब बहुत आउटडेटेड कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं.
तो मैम लिखना भी तो जरूरी ना फिर विदाउट.
आई कैन टेल व्हाट आई फील इज राइट.
यस मैम.
अगर आपको लिखना है तो आप डायरी लिखिए, बिकॉज लैंग्वेज आप अपने आप को लिखने का पर्पस क्या है? एबिलिटी टू डेवलप स्किल टू एक्सप्रेस थिंग. तो आप जीएस की चीजें लिख लीजिए, उसमें क्या दिक्कत है? पॉल साइंस यू कांट राइट इन 1 or 2 months, ऐसे नहीं होता.
और मैम कॉम्प्रिहेंशन स्किल्स के बारे में आपने बताया, तो वो डेवलप कैसे होगा?
क्या चीज?
कॉम्प्रिहेंशन स्किल्स.
कॉम्प्रिहेंशन स्किल डेवलप होगी आप क्लास में आए, when like our teaching style is very different, and you will yourself realize that will come. I'll say just come with empty, nothing in your mind, just come and enjoy the class. Fine. Yeah. Always better is with dictation. तो विदाउट डिक्टेशन मीन्स जिनको बहुत ज्यादा टाइम कॉन्शियसनेस है, तो कोई नॉर्मल जो भी स्टूडेंट है, साधारण सा इंसान है जमीनी, तो उसको जो तरीका है उसी से जाना चाहिए. दिसंबर से पहले 9 month हो जाएंगे.
इंग्लिश कैलेंडर से तो हो जाता है 9 months. मैं बता रहा हूँ, वेट. So जिसको भी confusion है 6 months and 9 months, if your target year is 26, go for the 9 months course, because when you write the notes, ठीक है, so notes के साथ there are lot of things which get fixed in the muscle memory, ठीक है, और वो आपके notes हैं जो आपने लिखे समझते हुए लिखा है as compared to reading the other one. So if you have the time, 6 months course is for those, let us say जो कि हमारे पास 6 months बाद आते हैं, उनको 26 का attempt देना है. They have no other option other than going for that course कि at least explanation ठीक से समझ में आ जाए. For all those who are attempting 26, I think 9 months course would be much better.
जैसे बाद में मान लो आपको मेन चीज क्या है, फिलोसफिकल पार्ट शुड बी रिटन, ठीक है, जो भी थ्योरी वाला अगर आप खुद लिख लेंगे, आईआर वाला चलो ना भी लिखो कुछ, लेकिन टिल इट इज थ्योरी पार्ट, and if you will write on your own, you will develop good understanding. Okay?
Ma'am, while reading the newspaper, should we focus on any special section like world or editorial or?
No. You just don't be so selective. Just do any one editorial, any one article, anything. Practically speaking, nobody gets time to read the paper thoroughly. Fine. So, but small steps also make big difference. Okay. So even if there is one single news, read it. You just know how to stop yourself, how to restrain. So even if you are doing less, but you are doing consistently, that is much better than doing more and not being consistent. Okay, because these topics will keep on repeating.
Although I'm done taking admission here in the classroom course, I'm taking PSIR only for the subject amount over political science. So will PSIR classroom course will be enough, or should I take any other things just for the
any other thing for optional?
No, ma'am. Actually, I'm not up for UPSC.
Okay.
So I'm taking this PSIR
for your academics.
Yes, ma'am. Right now, I'm pursuing MA Political Science.
Okay.
So
right now, because don't do too many things. If you are taking this course, just see if you want to do JRF or CUET. Many students clear with this exam, with this content. I teach very comprehensively.
Actually, my goal is to pursue in teaching field.
There are many students who do this. You are not the only one. Fine. Some people even apply and they have got call from, I said, Harvard and all. So they do that. Later on, if you feel, the thing is, here we will not be doing lot of factual things. Okay. In theory, but in JRF, CUET and all, they may ask factual questions. So for that, you can refer some basic books like OP Goba, etc. But that can be done later on, not now.
Ma'am, what kind of mentality should we reflect in our answers while answering the optional questions?
Right thinking. Whatever is right, and you reach to the right on the basis of logic. But to be logical, first of all, you have to have concept. So right now, don't think about writing. Writing, discussion on writing is very premature now. Okay. So you will learn with the class when I will be discussing once that, and that is why dictation mode helps in understanding how to write and develop. That we will teach you at some point of time. Right now, forget. But the only thing is you have to write. जैसे अब यही क्वेश्चन है, अगर हम इसका अंडरस्टैंडिंग ही नहीं है, हमारे पास कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है, तो हम इंटरप्रेट गलत कर लेते हैं. जैसे एंटी डिफेक्शन लॉ कर्ब्स फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच, तो हम लिटरली ले लेते हैं, कहते हैं हाँ, लेकिन सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट तो कहता है नहीं. तो अगर हमारे पास कंसेप्ट्स की क्लैरिटी है तो आप अपने आप लिख लेंगे.
थैंक यू मैम.
Done. Fine. So क्या है yes. So along with that, we also have some other facilities which you can subscribe, like the library facilities there. We also have the general studies classes where I take essay and polity and focus on answer writing. And the idea is that political science students, they should not somewhere lack because of general studies. You can also top up your courses. for general studies, and here itself there is a library you can avail. If you have already done general studies, we have Rise mentorship, where that one-to-one sessions are there. If you are looking for some modular courses, then I take essay and GS polity as a module also, which we do on Sundays. Okay, fine. So thank you, and thanks for coming, and I enjoyed the session and hope it was also productive. Okay, thank you. And if you want, whosoever come, like, just don't think about anything, no baggage. Just think you are coming to enjoy, because if our mind is not happy, our whatever we receive is less. So most important preparation is your mental preparation, and only thing is come with an open mind. Okay, thank you.